First item, minutes of January 20th. Anybody have any issues before I make a motion? There being none, I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. Yeah, Sarah. All right, we'll jump down since we got till 7:15 for the next one. Home for Little Wanderers, that's on here. It was here, filed, and then taken back, right? It's here for what, 15 minutes? So you don't even have to give that to me. You're not, are you?
Oh, you don't read the letter?
What, from Home for Little Wanderers?
Did they ask to withdraw? No?
He came in and took it, right? So we yeah, it's not like we put it in front. He gave you the stuff and then came back later and took it on the same day, so. It was Rosanna Dana, never mind. Going down the list, Heidi, you have an A&R? One copy. Anybody need to look at it? I looked at it when they sent it to us.
Is this Form A, something about Swanee Estates, the
Yep.
one that
Yep.
goes with it?
Yeah, what we have here is Swanee Estates was approved sometime in the 70s, that whole area, but Heidi was never built. Wendy was, and it's off of Cow Road. So, the only street that's a public street, except the street, is Wendy. Heidi, they put in, looked like they cleared it once upon a time, they put some drainage in and everything, but it was never bonded. It's not been accepted by the town, so. it's-
Were there any conditions on that development? You know, how long they had to build it out, or?
Well, they never bonded it, so it just never, nothing. It's non-existent right now. Okay? The other, so we don't have any, anybody here for Wendy? No?
Heidi.
Heidi, I'm sorry. No Wendy, no Heidi, okay. The other issue that if you read is, this is a subdivision that was approved, but what they say is you can move the lots at any time, but you still gotta make them have the proper frontage and the square foot.
Square footage, yeah.
Well, pretend this just got approved last week. If he wanted to do this, he can't do that. He can't make that lot. They all have to conform. So you can't make any non-buildable lots on there. So that's another issue. I'm not 100% sure, but my opinion would be if he wanted to do this, because I know at the other end it's wet, is he'd just do a big Form A, but he doesn't have the frontage for this 66A and 68A.
What district is it?
It's rural.
Rural?
But Heidi is not built.
The road itself doesn't exist?
Doesn't, it's not a, it exists on plans, it was approved back in the 70s, it was never bonded and never accepted. It's not even used as a private way, because you can't even drive down it. It's a plan that got approved and never went anywhere.
Was the road ever cleared, or?
Yeah. It looked like they did something back in the 70s, but the way Carl Senior went, he had the rest of it doing, this was his last piece, and wasn't the most prime piece up there, so kinda left it. If you go further up here, and the other end is, this is all wet. So that's probably one of the reasons why it wasn't a big interest, but this is the lot they want. This is on Wendy, this is on Wendy. This is Heidi. Heidi doesn't exist, so without frontage on an existing road, it doesn't meet the rules and regs of an A&R.
The road does have to be in existence.
If the road was bonded, that's a whole different thing. If the road was built, being used and accepted by the town as a way, that's fine, but it's neither bonded nor used. And the other thing, like I said, is I'm not sure if this would ever fly the rest of it, because now you've created a whole different thing on an existing subdivision that once upon a time was approved, but I don't know what this does, but from what we're dealing with tonight, even using it as an A&R plan, he doesn't have the frontage on a road, and as we know, that's number one, we learned that last time. We were told that last time, so. Any questions, comments? Kyle, you know what Heidi looks like, right?
I do.
It's a jungle out there.
Mm-hmm.
When I talked to the guy, he says, yeah, you should probably see, you could probably build it, but then the problem they're gonna have now is, they want to do this, they gotta go through conservation. They don't get grandfathered that they had done it back then, and that'll be another problem is, it'll be a conservation nightmare, given the fact that you have wetlands all over the place, so I'll make them,
Specifically, subdivision is required.
excuse me?
Specifically, subdivision is required, should they wanna do something, so
Yeah.
A&R,
Yeah, A&R doesn't do them any good,
Road,
yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
yeah.
So, make a motion to disapprove the A&R,
No.
do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't think we're ever done with, I don't even know if we write anything on here, Kate, do you?
I'm sorry?
We don't even,
You don't sign it, cause we're not approving.
yeah, okay. I mean, he could come back if you wanna do a small subdivision road and do it, but
Sure, yeah.
not as an A and R, cause it doesn't get anything to it. Right, that one, Heidi Dunn, Shelby, Boston Province Highway, A and R. Mr. Matthews, okay. Here we go. We have the right number of plans. Yay. Okay, there you go, sir. Kate and John. All right.
We can share, right? Oh, do you not want to?
You want some?
At his?
Okay, we have an A and R up there. I think last time you had talked to us. So what we have here is
Some of the mini
the car wash, parcel H, and 3A. Is that part of this, or are you just drawn on?
No, that's all part of it.
Okay.
I actually
understanding
have a
is,
list of
it's gonna be
conveyances.
1, 2, and 3 when they're done. And right now, there's 1, 2.
Not to lose everything on the ground. So basically what we're doing, may or may not remember, I was in here for a land court lot, I think it ended up being like 105 or something. Yep, that's those,
Okay.
just if anyone didn't have them. Subsequent to that, we have created this plan. The engineer's actually sitting over there, but I'll let him sit down now. And we're going to do some land swaps that basically creates 2 new lots, one with frontage on Route 1 and one with frontage on Pine Street, both public ways. And it leaves the car wash as a smaller lot. And to answer the question I know is coming, we went through a limited site plan because the only thing that actually changed when we moved the lot lines, other than obviously the outer contour of the lots, is where snow storage went. And the building department approved the limited site plan, so should your board endorse this, we still have a valid site plan for the car wash.
When was that done?
End of December. The letter actually is probably dated the first week of January.
Okay, now I see at the lower half at the curve, that's for parcel 1, frontage on Pine, correct?
Yep.
What is Shelby gonna be, Route 1 or Pine?
Shelby is Route 1.
Okay,
Blades is gonna have Pine, and Shelby will have the second, basically 2 lots on Route 1.
okay, lot 2 is his anyway,
Right.
okay. Is there any, isn't there something in our book about corner lots and all that? Doesn't matter for us, I'm just
As
curious.
far as we know, we still conform to everything.
No, I know, but they say you always take, your frontage is gonna be deemed.
So Blade, we have the frontage on Route 1, there is, absolutely. And so Shelby will remain Route 1, because
Okay.
he has sufficient frontage there. Blades does not have sufficient frontage on Route 1, so he's actually gonna have a Pine Street address.
No, I understand that, but in our book, the corner lot, go back to Mary Jane, where's your frontage? Is it on this or this? And they always went to the highest one. I'm just saying, doesn't matter. It's only for post office. For us,
Right.
you got it both ways. But, all right. So everybody, we got lot 1 at the top. He's got plenty on Route 1 and plenty on Pine. Lot 2 has what he needs. And the little circle, and lot 3A, the frontage is down along the curve. So, anybody have any questions?
I think when you first went through, you were thinking of doing something related to the car wash, but separate. So can you share with us what's,
It's probably easier if I point, if you don't mind.
yeah, I mean, in this area, right? There was going to be something related to the car wash?
Right, so the car wash, in its original state, went along Route 1 to here, out to there, back this way, and then over. So when I was here before, it was this one, and that one. So at the end of the smoke clearing of the conveyances, this goes to the car wash, this goes to the car wash, this he keeps.
Okay,
So parcel one's not involved at all, or parcel I, whatever that.
That one stays
Stay
in
in-
Blades Realty, that one stays in Blades Realty, this one goes to Blades Realty. Blades is conveying these two to Shelby to make those 2 lots. Because I was here before for this weird looking
Yeah.
triangle.
yeah. But, so what's gonna happen on this lot in the future?
Until we submit a site plan, absolutely nothing.
Okay, nothing
I
you
don't
wanna
know
share?
what he's
Okay.
doing.
So it's really just those 2
Where's the
lots.
security company there?
They're down here.
Oh, they,
Yeah.
Yeah, as it dips a little.
okay,
Mhm.
all right, then fine, that's right, it's further down, okay. All right, I don't see any issues. I'll make a motion to endorse.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Get the pen, Kate? So we could deal. Go yellow, okay.
That's my signature. I can be down there. Did you already sign?
No, that's why we're gonna bring it back your way. Okay, while you wait, can you hand me the Bristol? Bristol. I'll knock that off while we're sitting here. Do you want this back, Phil? No, not the plan, the elastic. You sure? Your dad always did. He'd wrestle me for, here you go, he'd wrestle me for.
Thank you.
Okay, that will be in after 7:15. We had a continuing hearing on Bristol Subdivision. And this is from their lawyer, and it says, as you're aware, we represent Bristol with respect to pending application, industrial subdivision. And we write, request further continuance of public hearing till the scheduled meeting in July 2022, and therefore they'd like an extension up through September 2022. And I think we all understand it's because they're still playing with their new filing for the AQV. So we'll make a motion to allow extension up through September 30th, 2022.
Second?
Have a second? Any further discussions?
Question?
Yep.
Can we require them to like refile, or we just extend or renotice? We talked about this, but I
Yeah, we could
forget
tell
what
them
we,
when they come in July.
okay.
We'll tell them they gotta do it then.
Okay.
Now, there's a problem. What's the date in July, Kate?
21st.
July 21st?
Oh, good date.
Why?
Is it your
It's my
birthday? or
birthday.
something?
You must have
Oh.
I
Oh.
thought I had one.
Oh, all right. We will continue this hearing on July 23rd. What we got on that night?
Nothing. So we'll do
Gee,
7:10.
you think?
23rd or 21st?
21st.
21st.
21st, so, yeah, we'll put it for like 7:15 again. Okay, thank you. And now, after 7:16, we have a continued public hearing for 655 Elm Street for Stigmatine Fathers. And I think last,
Point of order, is it 6:55 or 6:05?
Hmm.
I'm seeing both numbers on the paperwork.
It's 6:05.
6:05. Yeah, I think 6:55 is pools. Formally. All right, do we have anything like Kate?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a folder there? Shouldn't be much, because everybody's done their review. Okay,
Is it okay to plot the plan, or?
yeah. Okay, we had, last time we met, there was a couple small things, and everyone else has done their, spoke their piece from any boards or departments, and the only thing we have left is, Carl Baldeff's our engineers, and dated February 2nd. Do you wanna do it for us, Carl?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we did provide a memo to the board February 2nd. This is on a plan, recent plan submission dated January 20th. We had originally reviewed in late October. The current plan submission is quite a bit more substantial. They virtually addressed most of the issues we had in late October, so the comments we had, about 20 or so in this memorandum, deal with the new submission. Quite a few of them are housekeeping revisions, engineering things and whatnot. I guess the only thing that I would point out to the board, a couple of things, is there's 17 parking spots shown on the current plan, and I think that was the same number on the original one. And there's some calculations provided to say that's one for each of the units or residents, and then some additional staff parking and whatnot. But I pointed out that that's a little bit thin. I want to make sure that the board, I suggested in the memorandum that they increase it by a number of 5 so there's parking for visitors. It's a big site, there's a lot of room, or additional staff, or whatever the case may be. And that actually an adjustment be made with snow removal in mind. That's one of the more substantial comments in there. That's items 4, 5, and 6 in the memorandum. And actually it branches out into 7, 8, 9 as well, I believe. And that's really, we've continued to point out that, you know, we came to agreement on how the utilities would be served, but they're gonna have to go out on Elm Street to do it, and that's a recently paved road, so they're gonna have to actually go to the selectmen for that approval when the time comes. So if there are any other questions, Mr. Chair, I'll be glad to answer them, but that's the majority of, I guess the second larger issue there is that we've got some questions about handicap parking spaces. They're shown, and the stalls aren't very clear, and the accessible routes from the handicap parking into the business isn't, or not the business, but into the 2 buildings is not obvious from the plan. So we've commented on that as well. So that's the high points of our review on this set of plans. But it's much improved. It has drainage now that it didn't have. Because we are in the WRPOD. There's been a good dialogue between the designers and the architect and our office, and they really worked to address the original issues that we had here.
Okay, do you have any issues with what went on?
No, for the most part, I agree. The majority of the comments are clerical in nature, just cleaning up the drawing. The one issue he brings up, he wants to expand the parking beyond the 17 spaces that we're providing. And we feel that we're meeting, or above meeting the needs of the site. This is the retirement home for the retired priests. So there's only one resident per bedroom, so there's 9 priests, and they all, it's not like a multi-family house where there's gonna be a husband and a wife, maybe a kid who has a car. There's gonna be one person who has a car, and a lot of these guys, they're retired, they're not gonna be driving. So there's also the possibility that they may not have a car. So it's 1 per person max, and then we're providing 1 for each of the staff and 5 additional spaces for visitors, and so we feel that's adequate.
Okay. All right.
And then, as another aside, continuing to add impervious to the site, he did mention this is in the Water Resource Protected Overlay District. So additional spaces would be an increase to the impervious area, and that's generally discouraged in those zones, trying to minimize the amount of pavement.
Okay, and what are you saying, Kyle, that the handicap isn't clearly marked on the plan, or?
Yeah, there are 2 spaces on the plans, Mr. Chair, but the aisles, the unloading aisles are not clearly defined, and the route from the space into the building is also not clear, at least from the plans that are presented.
So, okay, that can be put on the plan as far as the route. I mean, we're not the handicap, so when you go to get a building permit, it's
Right.
gonna determine where they have to go.
The pavement areas are extremely flat, and it would be, in the case of the former carriage house, it would be directly to the front door. And then in the case of the 2-story main building, it would just be to the entrance to the garage, and I believe there's a handicap accessible elevator in that garage area.
No, I
Mr.
think,
Chairman, my name is George Nguyen, I'm the architect.
Yeah.
And on the architectural plans, we studied the actual accessible route all the way from the handicapped parking stall, all the way leading to the door and into the lobby to the elevator, on both places.
yeah, no, I understand, and you're through this every day, is the building inspector will be the final say, because we've moved them more than once. Kyle may think it's great for him, and someone else, like over here, doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not debating, Mr. Chair. It's really a conformance with building code issue, but it overlaps into the site review,
Yeah,
so I
no, I
pointed it
understand.
out. It shouldn't be a showstopper, I guess
Okay,
is what
all
I
right.
should say.
We're happy to, add those onto the plan, and maybe like a conditional part of the approval tonight if you
Yeah.
so the vote.
Yep. That was all we had in the folder. John, any questions, comments?
And I guess I never fully introduced myself. I'm Michael Hassett. I'm the design engineer for the project.
Yeah, because you're on TV.
One question.
Trying to drum up business. Let me come back on to Kate.
Okay, yeah.
I really didn't have anything new. It was all, last time it was really, we just needed to see the plans. And everything that I have written down is documented in the plans, so I'm good.
Okay, Phil?
First, thank you for making all the changes, so many of the things that were mentioned, for example, fire safety, the road width,
Mhm.
and so forth, so that's good. I have a question on sheet 4. I couldn't quite read the road site distances, and I just want, is it 1,015 feet west and 606 feet east?
It is rather small on there, reduced up. Yes, so looking right towards Medfield, you have a site distance of about 1,000 feet, 1,015.
Okay.
And then looking left towards Walpole, you have a site distance of 606 feet.
Okay, good.
And that's factoring into consideration the Walpole, Welcome to Medfield sign that's out by the street there. So that's not obstructing.
I actually drove by there today, but I just wanted to confirm with, I couldn't read through some of the printing was overlaid. Then I know when we had the public hearing, there was one person on Jory Lane was worried about the water. And Carl, are you satisfied with the drainage, that there'd be no additional water going down Jory Lane?
Yes, we visited, I can't remember if I had visited before the first hearing or whatever. We certainly went up there afterwards so we have a better understanding. But they've essentially swaled the side of their road, and where the path of water is going over towards Jory Lane is pretty clear. So I'm satisfied that this is, that they've done an adequate job on this, if not better than that.
Thank you. And then on sheet L4.1, and I know we've asked this question before, but just want to make sure I understand it. And again, the structure at the entrance is not a pergola. That's just simply
No, it
concrete,
is
granite blocks.
a stone paver hexagon, but there's no roof on it, there's no walls to it. It is open air.
Yeah, and with the cars, the cars just bend around? They're not going around in a...
No, there's no rotary
There's no rotary
configuration to it or anything, no.
Yeah, so it's just making a little...
No, it is primarily a landscaping feature.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then, it took me a while to find out what HH was again. I think you mentioned last time. So basically, you have electrical wire on the roadway for the...
Yes.
The lighting on the ground.
Yeah, those are, I believe, handholds.
Yeah, that's it.
Representation, yes.
Yeah, it's on the sheet. Yeah, sheet 3 had the key to that. And then and then as part of the water drainage, that's, so on sheet 5. On the,
So, sorry, what was your question on sheet
oh,
five?
so going down the road or on the west side?
Yes.
Or the northwest side, those were, again, basins for water, is that
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
a 4-foot wide, 1-foot deep swale, grassed.
just a,
It's gonna collect runoff from the road and then direct it to intermittently spaced infiltration areas for recharge.
and then on the fire, and by, good you added the two sheets for the fire trucks. And the chief is good with the way the turnaround would work, backing up.
Sheet 7?
It would be sheet 7 and 8,
Yep.
Yep.
I missed your question.
So the Walpole Fire Department is good then with the way that would the backing up, and,
They had initially been requesting a full cul-de-sac turnaround.
yeah,
But we felt that that was a lot of pavement to add for what is essentially a private residence. And so we widened the pavement to 20 feet along the main road, 26 feet out in front of the house, and then I think it's 20 feet also in front of the old carriage house. And so this turning plan demonstrates the fire vehicle, which is the Walpole spec, will have plenty of room to do like a 3-point turn in that area safely. And then leave the property.
and the fire department's good with that? Or-
We have not received their review, the response to the latest set of plans yet.
Okay, yeah, I would agree, by the way, trying to minimize the amount of impervious
Mhm.
pavement is a good thing to do, as long as it meets the safety
Yep.
issues. So I think that's all I have, thank you.
Okay.
Scott?
Okay. On the cover sheet, there's just a few things that I'd like to see that are outlined in section 13.8. So you need to have like the nature and location of the site, so that it's a site plan, you have the location. Legal description, dimensions, area, zoning classifications, assessor's map and lot, and name and address of applicant and owner.
I do believe that information is largely provided on sheet 4.
Yeah, but-
You're asking to see it on the cover sheet? so-
Yeah, it's helpful that way, you know.
And some of it's on sheet 1, but it's not in a format that we usually see, I think, the part of it, because it has the owner's, assessor's information, you know, on the
Yeah.
right, but it's not, it doesn't stand out.
And
as
what was
much.
the chapter and verse to guide us?
So it's in the bylaw, section 13.8. So
13.8, okay.
13 is all about the site plan review, and then, you know, point 8 tells you about like what should be included in the submission.
Sure.
And then my next question relates to the fire. And so I'd really like to see comments from the deputy fire chief, either
I've reached out to
indicating.
him twice this week. I haven't been able to get a hold of him.
Okay,
But again, you know, we're happy to work with them. We just don't want to see, you know, like I said, this is a private residence, and, you know, a big cul-de-sac would be overkill. You know, it's something that would be used, hopefully never, you know, but we feel the three-point turn is adequate. But we're not.
When we met with them, they recommended some other modifications, which we did. You know,
Okay.
They asked us to relocate the hydrants closer to the main house,
okay,
which we moved.
okay,
Which moved the actual 100-foot radius to the fire department connection. So we adjusted all the comments that we had, except for providing, you know, a cul-de-sac for each food truck.
okay. Just this board is, you know, defers to the
Mhm.
deputy fire chief in these kind of matters, so we'd really like to see it in writing.
Well, the thing is, they've already commented, he had ample time to do it, he hasn't, so he must have accepted what they've done. I mean, if he hasn't, you knew the hearing was tonight. I mean, I don't like to hold the applicant up because someone else hasn't done it, and if he did have objections, he would have sent it to us.
Okay, well, I would like to see it. And then just a question on sheet 4, where you have the zoning. One question is, could you just explain the numbered notes? And, you know, you've got 3, 4, 10, 12, 14.
I am not super familiar personally with that, but they appear to be exceptions or modifications to the rule. I think those are taken directly from the zoning.
From the
Zoning
bylaw?
bylaws.
It's coming
And
directly from
We're
zoning
just
bylaws.
reproducing them there
Section
because we
6.
may be using them in this case, and so we're pointing out that, well, it is, yes, 30, but we're allowed to go X feet instead because of the proposed use.
Okay. But in the actual table, you don't refer to which note applies.
I believe we do. So if you look at like the minimum yards rear, and then it says 30 feet, you'll see a small 3 and a 4. How about it too? I'll bring the one.
Oh, there it is, okay, all right. And then just a request, for the minimum lot area, you've got 40,000 square feet, but then on existing, you put it in acres. Would you just keep it consistent in square feet?
Sure.
All right, and then regarding the signage near the Elm Street, so are you relocating that?
There is I believe, a small sign that's in the middle of the proposed driveway that we are relocating, but the large "Welcome to Medfield" sign will be staying where it is.
Okay, so, so are there two signs right next to each other then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
There's a
and that's
lamp-
the way they do
there's
it.
a lamp sign.
Okay,
There's a lamp sign that is in the middle of the driveway.
Yeah.
And there's an actual stone sign that's gonna stay where it is.
I see,
They
okay.
did like a fancy sign.
And the other one
Okay.
is a little Medfield sign.
I don't know the exact text on it.
The usual town line
Town-
sign,
yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, it's a town lines?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what the difference.
It's not
Okay.
Medfield.
It's the-
I believe it's similar to a street sign in a field.
Oh, the typical, okay.
Oh, no, bigger
Okay.
than that, but
Oh, it's bigger than that?
Oh, yeah. It's a regular town,
Okay.
it says Medfield on one side and Walpole on the
But
other.
yes, that is being relocated.
Oh, the big
It's like
white
this
one.
is-
Yeah, okay, entering, yep, okay.
Okay, and will you have a sign for this residence?
I don't believe so. This, like I said, this is a private retirement residence and
Uh-huh.
not like a place of business for the church.
Okay. Okay, and do you have on the plans the % impervious?
Yes, it's right there on that zoning table we were just looking at. So we have a impervious, which includes building and pavement of 7.9%.
Okay,
This site is largely green, and we're gonna keep it that way.
okay. Okay. And then last, just a comment. I don't know if it's maybe the layers you have in AutoCAD, but some of the writing is very difficult to see, maybe the color of your layers on sheet 2 and 3.
It should all be legible. When you're looking at the 11 by 17, it's half the size it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but you see, like, some lines are very dark and clear, and some are just
Very faint.
very difficult. So sometimes it's the color of the layer.
It's as we intended. If you have a specific thing you'd like us to address, we can.
No, it's a half size, so you're gonna lose stuff.
Like I said, I think when you look at it on the full size, the things that are somewhat difficult to read become that much clearer, because it's, like I said, it's been shrunk down in half its size. So, you know, you're on this plan, not really noticing that. You know, it is much more easy to, excuse me. It is much more legible.
That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, John?
I think just one simple clarification on the L4.1 plan, the entrance subsection
But the landscaping detail?
there. No, it's the last one page, L4.1. Ron showing the hexagon shape and the entry.
This
on
one here?
there. That one, yep. There's a little comment about the crucifix. Could you just expand on that?
That's the question for sure. Yes, and the crucifix in the front, you're asking about the landscape detail.
For the crucifix that was existing in their walk-up property that is not, we're gonna be relocating.
And what are the comments about needing, what was it, wood something, wood frame, or? Crucifix structure will need a wood support, the architectural plans.
We just need to take a foundation for it to support.
So you'll just have a base to it or something to hold it upright?
Yeah, it'll be
basically?
sitting on a wooden base.
Okay, so you're not like having a wooden pole behind it or something
The
like that?
crucifix is on a wood pole, we're just gonna be setting it down, you know.
Setting it up like a holder or something to keep it steady, okay. That's the only question I had, I guess.
Okay. Anyone from the audience have any questions, comments relative to this hearing? Okay, being none. Okay, what I got here so far for vote is we have Carl's recommendations that added to the plan. My view is he does meet, I know Carl's looking for more, which is fine, but they do meet the requirements. And we also know, Carl, if they don't, they'll be the first ones wanting to add, right?
That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we'll put, that will be one of the special conditions, Kate. My opinion, we need to put that on there. I forgot. Kyle's comments, anything to do, to update the plans requirement, and the next one is that, the items covered in 13.8 be put on the cover sheet, as Sarah said, and convert the acres
To
to
square
square feet. Or the square feet to acres. No, square feet, I mean acres to square feet. And I think that's what basically.
Do you want to put about the getting conditional on getting approval by the fire department?
We've already asked them to, and they've already given us their comments, so, I mean, Phil, I get to the point where if no one sent us anything, it's over. I mean, Paul's had enough time, he's probably already sent it. The other thing that will come is if he doesn't like something, he doesn't sign off on their permit, so he gets another bite at the apple at some point, so.
Yeah, I mean, I should be surprised there was a problem with it, but just,
We
one-
haven't gotten anything officially from him, right, on this one?
No.
I don't think so, right?
There was one initial comment letter
Way
that
back.
he did send out, and we responded to in writing 2 weeks ago.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion to approve.
second.
We have a second, and based upon those special conditions, any further discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. 500, okay.
With all the change going on in town, I'm very glad to see this beautiful property kept, preserved, so
We appreciate the
I hope
opportunity.
you love
Thank
it
you.
there.
Yeah, but I'd watch out for some of the neighbors. All right. We're on a roll, not too bad. The hour being after 7:20 and 7:21, we have 1429 Main Street site plan approval and 1429 special permit. And, okay. Since we're past the hour, I'll do the easy one first. We don't do special permits, that, you gotta go to the zoning board.
What's that?
It's a special permit through the zoning board, not us.
It's a modification to a existing.
I know, but they do, it's right in our zoning book, special permit Z.
It's a modification, though?
No, it just says anything for this stuff, it has to go to the zoning board. So it's
That wouldn't make any sense. It's a decision from the planning board that was granted by this board, and therefore, any modifications to such a.
Well,
decision.
if we get down the history, it was filed by Mr. Marini way back to the planning board, but we don't have any jurisdiction, didn't back then, and, so it's right in our zoning book that has to go through the zoning board.
If that's the opinion of this board, then I'm certainly happy to have a conversation with the building commissioner about that and see how to deal with that.
Okay. And the reason is, we've had all these over the last few years, and they've all, like, Leo's Pizza, you're familiar with that, right? That went to zoning board, they had one last night, the zoning board, so, you didn't do the original, did you?
I did not.
That was a long time
Paul
ago.
Snyder's, I think's office did it.
Yeah, it was like way back, gotta be,
Long time ago.
yeah, a long time ago. Okay, so, we will, why don't we do this? Want us just to place it on hold? Will you
The
find
special
out?
permit? Yeah, if you don't mind, if that's the board's position, then if you don't mind, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
well, yeah, when, Kate, do we have a drop dead date on special permits? 65 days. Okay, why don't we, at the end, Chris, see where you are and when you want, if, on the site plan,
Mhm.
and then we'll hold them to the same time. Does that make sense?
That'd be great, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, that'll be the end of the night. Okay, hereby given, that's a special permit. Where's the other one? Oh, there's, I'm sorry. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 3rd at 7:20 for site plan, at 1429 Main Street with Assessors map 40, parcel 140, residence B. The owner of the property is seeking site plan under section 13 as shown on the plan, 1429 Main Street, modified date, 14/20/20. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, it's not 20, I'm reading that, right, John? Back in 2020 you did this?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, you didn't do it like last month then. Okay, all right, I just wanted, because a little while ago. That being said, we've opened it up, and go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Christopher Alphin, Blattman, Bobrowski, and Haverty. We're simply here in order to get a modification to an approved site plan, and we're simply asking to move back the line of the site plan in order that the back portion of the property not be encumbered by the site plan approval. Therefore, my client can do what he wants into that property, which may require, a definitive subdivision plan, as I'm sure that's not a surprise to anybody on this board. But we're simply seeking relief in order to modify the site plan, in order to move the line that's shown on the site plan that was approved by that decision. It's pretty much that simple. There was some discussions that we had before we withdrew that application, so we sort of had a head start on the board's concerns about this. One of the concerns the board's had was about the buffer zone. which I will have John go over with you. And then there was another issue regarding about the applicant's control over this piece of property, because this is currently a condominium property that is encumbered by a master deed, and he has the rights to withdraw this property from the condominium property. I put a legal memorandum as part of this application, just to try to explain that and provide the applicable portions of the master deed explaining that. So with that, I'll just have John come here and just explain the plan a little bit more detail. But it is pretty straightforward. We're just moving along.
Mr. Chairman, my name is John Glossick, Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole. And probably should have done this in two colors, but let me just explain. Here's, so 1429 Main Street, you probably all know where it is, but as we're heading south towards Rentham, this is gonna be on the right side. The Dunkin' Donuts is here. And then in here, there's A1 Auto Sales, something like that. And it's kind of kitty corner across from the Bristol Square Mall, the building with the green roof. And it was built maybe 10 years ago now, 8 years ago. And the original lot was about 46,563 square feet. And at the time, went in front of the board, site plan approval, as I can see, met all of the zoning requirements at the time, and then went through the approval process for the different appurtenances, the different utilities, lighting, and all that sort of stuff. That had to be shown on the plan and approved by the board. To the best of my knowledge, we went out. We did identify a few things that are a little bit different. There's a wall in the back and a wall on the side that weren't shown, a retaining wall, that weren't shown on the original plan. But other than that, it seems to me, I mean, we did go through this with a fine-tooth comb in that period since we were here last, that the building, the parking, utilities, the lighting, the plantings, sidewalks, all comply with the site plan approval that was granted. Of course, with some minor things, like I said, the retaining walls, and there's always some minor things. But there was an as-built plan that was submitted to the town, and as far as I know, nobody objected to it. So it's been sitting this way since it was built, and as you know, so it's a 46,000 square foot plus square foot lot. In this zone, business zone here, we only need to have a 15,000 square foot lot. So what we would like to do is take the rear line from here, and we're putting it, making it a little bit of an odd-shaped line here. And you've seen the plan, we all know why, because eventually what we would like to do is put a cul-de-sac here and then have one buildable lot in the back here. So I'm not gonna get into that because that's not part of what's going on here, but just, you know, it's kind of obvious, not just doing this for no reason at all. But so now the question really is, does the lot as configured meet the zoning bylaw? Because if it doesn't, then see you later, John, and see you later, Chris, right? So I just put a zoning table up here. I believe we have it correct. So a business zone, the lot area 15,000 required. This lot here, with the little tail, is 17,831 square feet. We need 100 feet of frontage on the site. So on the guy's deed, it says it's 124 feet of frontage. For some reason on the site plan, as Paul Broadmerkel, a good friend of mine, put 123.98 feet measured, whatever that means. So either 124 or 123.98, but it's more than 100 feet. On the lot coverage by structure, we can have 40% with 21.2%. Lot coverage by all impervious, we can have 70% with 65.4%. Minimum usable open space is not a requirement in the business zone. The setbacks, 15 and 25, this building is built and was proposed at 73.9 feet. So that's where it sits on the lot. Side yard 6 feet, and this hasn't changed, 8.3 feet. None of the front and side didn't change. We're just mimicking what was on the plan. But what does change is the rear yard requirement is 20 feet. Now we're showing it 26 feet. On the approved plan, it's whatever that is, 26 plus 236, 260 on the approved plan. And then the building height, 40 feet, and the building was measured at 37.3 feet. So, my opinion, complies with the zoning bylaw, substantially complies with the approved site plan and the as-built plan that was submitted. And therefore, I don't really see any reason why this couldn't be modified to allow the second lot. So I guess I can answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board that you might have.
Any questions? Why sky blue, John? Question, because I'm looking at this the whole time, trying to put it all together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one whole lot, based upon you had. Now you're gonna show us a lot line there.
Correct, and so
I understand what you're doing, Chris,
Yeah.
but at this juncture, all you want us to do is approve that line being there.
So if, I thought that this might come up, and the reason why
Yeah.
I'm doing this first, rather than showing you a definitive subdivision at the same time, is because I don't wanna move forward with the definitive subdivision until I know that the board's comfortable with this. So the way that I thought that that might be resolved is any sort of modification could be contingent upon us obtaining definitive subdivision.
Okay, now, well, okay, I understand that. Now, wouldn't you be seeking to carve this to A&R lots at this juncture? 'Cause what would-
I think it was, we've had this discussion, it's been a while, it was,
Well, we can do it that way. Of course, you could make that a condition,
No,
right?
because he has to
We're not
ask
gonna,
you.
we're not gonna sign your modification until you bring in the A&R plan. That's fine. We can bring in an A&R plan, but we don't want you, ask you to, if I brought in the A&R plan similar to John Shelby's, that was, an hour or so ago, you'd go, oh, we can't sign. In fact, this is how this kind of started with me. Somebody, the owner came to me and said, well, I need an A&R plan. I said, no, you don't. You need a modification to the site plan, because an A&R plan is gonna modify what the board approved, and I don't think you can just do that. I could be wrong, but I don't think you can just do that. But certainly, the second, there could be 3 steps, right? Modification, A&R, that could go
Yeah.
on the same night, sign them both, and then the subdivision, and then if the subdivision passes,
Yeah,
it's a
it-
subdivision. If it doesn't, then it's 2 lots, and who knows what happens to the other
That's
lot.
kind of where I'm going. If we say, what are we saying yes to tonight? We like where the line is.
Yes,
It
that,
isn't really a site plan approval, if you think about it. We're only saying we like where your line is,
well, things.
because it's still one lot. That's what I'm trying to wrestle with.
yeah, no, I get it. And what it would be is what's really the controlling document is the site plan that's referred into the written decision.
Yep.
So you're modifying what was approved in that original site plan division with this plan. And it basically just, mimics that the written decision isn't encumbering this portion of the property. That's what the modification is. It's not encumbering this portion of the property, so that we can do, something with this property.
No.
And again, what you can do is just say, this is contingent upon you know,
Wouldn't-
getting an A&R plan. The other reason why I didn't wanna just do an A&R plan, because you're right, that would make it seem like a little bit simpler, is that I don't want my client to just throw away his property without having an understanding of what he can do, you know, fully, so.
Okay, so what, well, it's already done, but if you had that third piece here tonight, you know how we're doing, you always combine, we try to combine a special permit with the site, because you don't wanna get them all, they're all the same, in a lot of our stuff.
Right.
We would be talking about an A&R plan at the same time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that, I don't want to move forward with that without having an understanding whether the board's willing to
So-
modify these decisions.
Okay, so you're looking for an understanding here that this is not an issue, if you
Yeah,
come
and
forward.
a written decision would be nice too, because
But,
again,
we
it
ca-
can be totally
I don't even know-
contingent upon those things.
I don't know what we're writing, you know, you'd write it based upon a new line that doesn't mean a whole lot. Okay, I understand where you're going. Now, the next question is, we'll go back to the special permit. If you read the special permit, that's only allowing you to, basically, whether you could do this or not, business and residential. But you're really not modifying anything on business and residential, is that, would you agree? or
I
not?
would agree with that. So I think that's an interesting point. I always take the safe route and try.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know, I wish I knew, this would've cleared up a little before. Now I know what you're doing, is all you wanna do is have that line, and as far as the special permit, there's nothing for us to modify, because well, we shouldn't have granted, it shouldn't have been in front of us, but nothing changes to say, special permit says you can do this and 2 times and so on and so forth. So you're only dealing with the land itself.
Yeah, except land use attorneys and title attorneys will say, well, you have a decision that's recorded and it references the plan, and that plan is this. So
Yeah, no.
everybody has to be in compliance with that decision.
No, I
So
understand.
that's kind of, you know, that's kind of why, I was like, well, we need to do this step first to make sure that it's done, you know, the right way is the way I'm trying to do it, believe it or not. And,
Right.
being, obviously, what makes this an unusual circumstances is we should have done all this before we went and got the special permanent site plan. And we're kind of doing things backwards. So that's why we got an unusual situation here, and it's because it didn't happen before, and now we're going backwards.
I know it's a little late now, but if, in the future, if you ever want, if you come ahead and explain what you're trying to do, because I think I would have said, and I'll speak for me, not the rest of them, is, yeah, I know what you're trying to do, so you got the A&R here, you got the site plan here, the special permit, then it's all done at one step, so, but, okay, I understand. I got comments, so I'll read those before we get into the people and the rest of us. Okay, there you a question about the parcel, and you think there's no issues?
I think I may have to modify one portion of the application where I may have put a zero instead of a 9. But as far as the notice goes, and I think that's honestly because we're probably gonna do a new assessor parcel ID while this was going on so many years ago. But in any event, there's no I'm happy to amend the application to correct that, but the notice is completely fine. It provides enough sufficient information to provide the public what's going on. So I don't really see that as an issue, but I will amend the application to turn that 0 into a 9 on the assessor's ID.
When you, because Kate sent me a copy of the original filing, whoever did it for him, called it Business Residence B.
Yeah, and it's,
Business in the front, residence B in the rear.
Yeah, but it was kind of rather than going Residence B and business, it was like Business Residence B.
I'm happy to clarify that.
Well, like, that's why it kind of looked like that, so,
I appreciate that.
only, ooh, pretty light night, Kate, did we get stuff from Sewer and Water here too? Did I miss it?
I saw one. This one here?
Yeah, I'm looking.
What is this one?
Oh, it must be Castor Towels, I'm sorry. Sewer and Water, January 26th. The only comments they have, they'd like to grant an easement up to the end of the property line.
Well, sorry, can you say that again?
They're looking for, they said they would like to grant an easement up to the end of the property line, which doesn't necessarily make sense. Is what I get out of it. It sounds like they want an easement to the end of the property line.
Well, so I don't know if they're thinking about looping, I can talk to them, I can talk to the superintendent if they're thinking about looping between William and Marion, or if they're thinking about looping between Marion and 1A or something like that. Clearly, it's it's a dead-end water line, right?
If I was you, I'd take it. They say, the board would like to grant an easement up to the end of the property, so
We'll take the
take it.
easement.
We'll take these.
There we go. Board of Health voted unanimously, has no comments, and does not recognize any Board of Health concerns regarding this, so you got one. And the only other one we have right now is Carl's.
Mr. Chair, we did provide a memo to the board, January 31st. It had 4 items. The first one was that we didn't have any comment on the DIS. The second one is that we don't have any objection to the relief or modification requested. Number 3 recognizes the fact that there was some variation between what's there now and what was planned in the original site plan. Mr. Glosser did a good job of recapping that. And the 4th was concerned with the rear of the building and drainage there that might have some long-term issues. And we recognize that you'll be substituting this site plan for the original site plan. The 4th comment, actually I've got 2 4s in there, which a bit of a typo, but the 4th was that the decision will have to be printed on the site plan as per normal procedure from the board.
All right, anybody, I'll start with Sarah.
Okay. So, my first question was, is this a modification or a new? So it sounds like you're saying it's a modification of both the site plan and special permit.
Yeah, it's a modification, and this plan will be replacing the plan that was approved, but everything in the front that's important, I would say, is staying the same, and the conditions would remain the same as well.
Okay. And then my next question is why planning board and not ZBA, which I guess we're gonna talk about later. So, as Jack mentioned, we have the original decision, and I have a question about the landscaping. I know previously, this plan came before us to kind of talk about things, and there were comments and concerns from the neighbors about invasive plant species and things like that. So in the conditions, it says that you're gonna comply with the landscaping plan. So I guess I'm particularly interested to see if that was done, and I don't wanna just gloss over that and say, oh, move the line, we're all done. So I'd be interested to hear if there's any neighbors here, or at least for you all to demonstrate that you have complied with that landscaping plan.
We absolutely need to comply with that landscaping plan. I do believe, and I don't know, I haven't been on the property, that my client has been working on that to try to get everything into compliance, and I think he's planted several plants. I don't know the details of that, but my understanding is that he's been working on that.
Okay.
I think it's done. So we gave the owner a list, 2 Bradford pears missing, he planted them. 2 rhododendrons missing by the dumpster, 9 Japanese hollow missing on the left sideline, 6 spreading yews missing on the left sideline. And then there was some talk, we gave him some lists of the fence, but he said that he had talked with either the building inspector or the town engineer. I mean, the fences are all there, but they might be vinyl fences rather than wood fences, or wood fences rather than vinyl fences. But they're all the same heights, and they're all there as shown on the approved plan. So when we gave him that list, he went out there and took care of all these items.
We yelled at him.
And what about this invasive?
So the invasive species are that someone.
Do you want to step closer to the microphone?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The invasive species are that someone and I'm gonna guess, right, it's the owner of the property, but I don't know who did it, dumped some stuff, did some work back here, where they probably weren't supposed to do any work, and probably dumped some stuff that had Japanese knotweed in it. So the Japanese knotweed has been growing in this location here. Japanese knotweed is very hard to kill. There are ways to do it. You have to sort of cut it and then swab the Roundup inside it, or the best thing to do is, you know, just remove it and bring it somewhere else and let someone else have Japanese knotweed. So we suggested that, but I think for now, we're just focusing on the actual site where the building is, the parking, and that sort of stuff. When we do this, obviously that can be handled at that time, unless you want him to go back here and start, you know, doing work in an area that's sort of outside of really what the original site plan kind of has.
Well, I mean, I don't really have an issue with the line, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with just approving something when there's a known problem with this
Yeah, well,
landscaping, and it's
it's-
specifically in our decision, so,
No, yeah, and, you know, I don't know, because I didn't do the original plan, but I believe that he did sort of violate his conditions at the very beginning, and now this is kind of,
and it's
How-
also, as I understand it, not contained on his own land, like it's gone into
Japanese
neighboring.
knotweed goes, yeah, it grows,
Yeah,
it
so-
goes. We can accept that as a condition to,
And limited to time, too, limited to time, to say
Yeah.
that by a certain date, you know, we have to comply with the landscaping plan to the satisfaction of the building inspector by a certain amount of time, to make sure that he does it. And if he doesn't do it, then he's in default of the decision. That's one way that we can handle that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think from us, we would say, not just, you know, plant the rhododendron at, you know, location X, but take care of this problem.
Okay.
And then on this plan, I understand you're gonna deal with this back lot later. Is there a reason you didn't add the zoning information about that? To just, you know, put lot 2 on this zoning chart?
Well,
it's a
vacant lot.
so on the A&R plan,
Mhm.
right, which, I understand what the chairman said,
Yeah,
and as I said, I saw it kind of backwards when the owner came to me.
right,
But on the A&R plan, this will be labeled not a buildable lot as currently configured, so it doesn't really have any requirements for zoning, because at that point, it's not gonna have the required frontage, because its only frontage will be the 40 feet where Marion Street ends. So until we put the cul-de-sac there to create the frontage, it's not gonna have the required frontage, so
yeah.
The
So it
A&R
maybe
plan
should
will-
say not a buildable lot on this plan.
Yeah, well, it's not a lot at all, really.
this, so your action here isn't gonna subdivide the lands.
I know, but,
We
I
can
don't know.
certainly
I
mark
can,
that.
I can mark it that way if you'd like, sure, but
okay. Okay. And then just a question, I saw 2 different addresses, 1427 and 1429. Is there a 1427?
I think it's a 1427, 1429, it's one property,
Okay.
so, it's
I think the building itself says 1429, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe I missed the
or it may be that
1427.
it's 1429 LLC, but 1429 is the building, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then, I think you mentioned this, but the fence that's shown on the plan, that's existing? Or that's
everything on the
proposed?
plans exists.
Okay. I think before you talked about maybe moving the fence or something, can you get an update on that? Or there's no plans to move the fence?
No, we had the 26-foot, we had the rear line
Mhm.
less than 26 feet from the building, so it was on the other side of the fence. So this line here is actually, he had it placed right at the setback, and not at the 26-foot buffer. So I
Okay.
think that was the discussion about moving the fence, but we're just simply, I think it made sense, and probably needs zoning if that 26 foot is buffered from the building, because or else the building essentially is within the buffer.
Okay.
So
That's-
you can see the fence here, and I think we were talking about moving the fence forward
Mhm.
towards 1A, but that really probably would have created a problem with the buffer as far as it meeting zoning requirements.
Yeah, because as we discussed, the buffer should be undisturbed, right? So maybe you need an undisturbed area,
Behind the,
yeah, to
But-
be included in that lot.
Well, the fence is there, but the fence can be part of the buffer zone, because that's, the bylaws define buffer zone to include fence area. So it's just from the use that the buffer that matters. Is that your question?
I mean, I didn't go back and look at the notes, but from my memory, we had talked about how, because it's a zone boundary, right? So there's residence here and there's a business use here. So you need a buffer between those zones, and the buffer should be undisturbed, like plants, trees, nature stuff.
Actually, it says you can use the setback as your buffer,
Yeah,
so that it can be disturbed,
it said it can be included, yeah.
and that's what you're doing here, right?
yeah.
26
and
feet?
And I know, you don't have a crystal ball, but what happens is just because of the way this is laid out, this actually becomes the roadway. So this house here, which is, closest to this buffer line, is gonna be pretty far away from the actual buffer.
Okay,
When we do the subdivision, in fact, we had shown it on the subdivision as, sort of plantings in that, because it's a circle, so plantings in that area, that's kind of left a little bit as no man's land, for someone to maintain and provide a better visual buffer.
okay. Okay, so I mean, I'd like to hear from the rest of the board and the neighbors, but I guess my big concern is the landscaping.
Bill? Yeah, so, on the setbacks, where you had the rear yard is 20 feet and proposed is 26, it's actually required 26 feet for the buffer, so just to
Yep.
make it a little more
Yep.
clear.
Right.
And then I would second the whole thing about the, removing the, Japanese knotwood, because the longer it's there, the more it's gonna spread, so actually time is important to remove it, and we see a lot of it in Walpole already, so it's a pretty invasive plant and very difficult to remove, so you'll be doing a help for the community too, to cut down on the amount of it, and certainly helping out with the neighbors. And then, I guess, did you address things like the fencing around the dumpster things that were in the Carl's?
Yeah. Well, that was done.
That was, okay, yeah, so that's all I really had then, just, it was good that you're addressing all the things that hadn't been done.
There's a fence around it. Yeah, because, in Carl's original letter, and then we actually went through the site as best we could with fine tooth comb, and gave that list to the owner, and he did all of those
Okay,
things.
yeah.
I'll tell you though, on the list was removing the Japanese knotweed, but he did not do that.
Yeah.
I think he just didn't wanna work
Well, it's a tough,
in the other part of the lot right
Yeah.
now.
and also, it's a tough thing to handle,
Well,
yeah.
so there's a few different theories on it, but we've done some, and we've just gone in, and I know it's spreading it in a way, but we've just taken it out. They dig down 12, 18 inches, take all that loam soil out, put it in a dump truck, bring it to a place that, you know, is gonna,
The harder thing is when it's already crossed the boundary,
yeah.
it's gonna come back
So
or,
at that point,
you know,
you
it's-
have to.
yeah, yeah, so. That's why the earlier you do it, the better it's gonna be to, I know there's a comment someone wants to make to the audience.
Jack, could you just let them know that they can speak
Yep.
at the end?
Yeah,
Is it okay to come right?
no, at the end, you'll get your chance.
Okay.
Yeah, when everybody's done.
That's all I have.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah, I just echo the same thing. Based on how things were handled in the past, I think we have to condition it and put it in there with a deadline that they take care of it.
John?
Just, I guess, clarification on my part. The two items before us was to allow a modification of the special permit and a modification of the prior site plan. Is that correct? And then going forward, they would have to come in with a subdivision plan. Well, so actually, we aren't actually separating anything with what we're doing tonight, right?
No, tonight, I would say it would be consensus that this
We're
is,
consenting to their,
yeah, and then when they bring it,
Future,
yeah, and this won't,
okay.
until you do an A&R, not even subdivision plan, but the A&R.
to act, to separate the
Yeah.
two pieces.
Yep.
One not buildable until the
Yeah.
subdivision includes the cul-de-sac to give it frontage. yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so basically we're just saying it's okay to modify what happened in the past. And I think that's basically okay. I'll echo, if we can get rid of that weed that's growing in the back and make that one of the conditions. We've got there, they've got provisions for the rear buffer between the two zones. And I don't think there's, actually, are you too close on the left-hand side? Which way? The north, the southwest corner of the building? Is that too close to the, lot on the left, actually?
I don't believe so. So the side yard requirement,
Between the corner of the building and the lot that says
right here,
Homolko?
the 8.3.
No, the 19.4.
But in this zone, the requirement is 6 feet.
Yes, but you still have the distance between the residential and the business
So-
zone.
So buffer zones go between two different zones. So that house is in the business zone, not in the residential zone.
Well, not the one in the front, the one that says number 23, but the lot behind it, the one that says now formerly Homolko.
So you're saying from the building
To that lot right to your left there, yeah.
that's gonna be, this is 26 feet measured this way, so that's.
Yeah, it looks a
Scale,
little
that's gotta be
close.
more than 26 feet, according to Pythagoras.
I think in the decision, John, there was something that the planning board approved, a distance less,
Distance less.
yeah,
Well-
that they,
That had to do with the side lot, I thought. Yeah,
let me find it, but I think it was there.
I do remember thinking,
That was in the 2014
Yeah.
decision.
All right, your zone line is the big dark line
Yeah, the
closest to the
line
building.
line, yeah.
yeah,
So the house behind it to the left, the diagonal, is in the residence, but, because you got the 26 feet.
Yeah, it's more than 26 feet. And if you think about it, the buffer zone has to be between zone lines. Because look at this case right here. In the business zone,
the buffer has to be.
residential is allowed in business. So you can't have a separation.
Well, the mixed-use one is allowed in business, most residential isn't.
So I've had this discussion with pretty much every planner that you guys have had, because I own land in the business zone with abutters who are also in the business zone, but are residential abutters. So.
Which they don't get the benefit of, because they're in the business zone.
That's right,
yes.
that's right.
But I'm guessing though that this lot here is in the residential zone.
John, it's a special condition from the site plan approval, number
Yeah.
7. Applicant shall construct 13-foot wide buffer on the southerly side. And then if you go over the reasons, I think it's there.
Which grouping is that in, Sarah?
That's for the site plan approval in
Exhibit 4.
2014.
Is that
Exhibit 4.
Where is it? Sorry, I should have found it before I spoke up. I'm sorry, continue. I'll let you know if I find it.
Right, I mean, ultimately, whatever there was.
It's
approved.
it's in the right ballpark anyways, but yes. I would be curious as to the actual distance from the building corner to the lot corner, if that could be calculated. But overall, I have no problems really with the proposal.
Okay. You speak, Kate?
Yes, I'm all set.
Kind of summarize, what to do about nothing, I guess, on this particular, so what you're also basically doing is, you gotta cut the lot off, so eventually you can build a house, and you're keeping 1429 intact, everything that you needed on a site plan, so other than conforming to the original plan that's been missing, that's been said, it's been taken care of, nothing is gonna happen there, and you're just gonna move the line eventually to 26 foot away. So actually 1429 will have a few more feet than kind of what was shown. So anybody within that building, nothing changes for them,
Right.
okay, other than maybe the back lot. Question, I think I know these answers, but I'll sling them out. Could've gone limited site plan.
I tried that, I came here, you said no.
Really? What criteria? No parking, no building, you can't get any more limited than that.
I came here, you said it's a major
You had an
modification.
issue with the back.
Oh, we had an issue with the, oh, I said, that, okay. No, usually they'll go there first. We don't get those calls. Even if it's major, you can still go down there, but
Yeah, well,
a lot of people just go around us all the
we
time.
met during the pandemic, you told me, it's still the pandemic.
Yeah, I kinda remember something like that, yeah.
Okay, now, before I get to the residents, the special permit, I understand you may not need it. It may have been done in error with us and all sorts of stuff, and it could come out you don't need it, but if I understand what you said, Chris, is some title guy is gonna go. So whether you need it or not, you're gonna want it.
Right,
Okay, whether, every lawyer in the world says you don't need it, but you're gonna want it just for title. I
Right.
understand that.
it's the proper way to do it, you know, I'm probably going over and beyond, but I
Yeah.
like to make sure things are clean.
So that someday nobody's raising a red flag.
Right.
And probably the proper way to do it at the next hearing would be to have an A&R prepared. We can get the answer on the special permit. And the one answer that was kind of left the last time you were here, we haven't got, is you said that the residents of the building aren't participants of this, and it's in the master deed. Now, we haven't got a copy, if you would
It's
send it.
in one of these.
Yeah, exhibit.
Well,
Oh, did you get the master deed?
Yeah, I didn't give you the whole master deed because it's 98 pages.
Okay, that's what's, fine.
But I gave you the portion that matters.
The comment is though, of mine is, the 2 pages I think you gave me, neither one has a date on it.
The recorded date is there. And
Is
that's
it?
really what's important, but, you know, it's probably around the recorded date. It was recorded on May 6, 2017. And the portion that I gave you was just the front cover of it, and then page 25, which provides the clause to withdraw the portion of that property. And then I've also attached the exhibit E, which shows the plan, which he has reserved the right to withdraw. So those are the important parts of that.
Okay, so, what-
Oh, okay, there's the date.
what I would ask is if you give us the exhibit, well, you already gave it to us again, and in your words, why you're maintaining that this is owned and Mr. Marini controls it, that will be sent to the town council. If you could give if you do this quick, we'll send your reasons off.
Yeah.
Rather than spending his dime, you tell us why you don't, the special permit should come back to us, or however you wanna read it, and we'll let them hash it out. But also, if you wanna indicate that you don't believe it's needed, however, so
Yeah.
that we can send that along for you next time.
Great.
Okay? 'Cause, you know, something so simple just kinda spun a lot.
Exactly.
So,
Yes.
and I did want to, it summarizes only the fact that the residents, so they understand of the building, that nothing, that's not gonna affect them other than what's way out back, and you're maintaining that they didn't have it in their deed anyway, so they're not gaining or losing anything, I guess. But we'll get that answer along with the others. Now, with that being said, I think a gentleman wanted to speak. Come up, name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Johannes Malto. I live in the 23 Marion Street, the home which is.
Can you come to the microphone?
Behind the gas station, adjacent.
Come up to the
Microphone, please.
microphone here, Jason.
The home which is behind the gas station and adjacent to the new building that was put up there. And I just wanted to make a comment concerning the vegetation, especially the bamboo that has been flourishing in that empty lot next to us. We've lived there for 12 years, so we've had to fight this for 12 years. And it was especially prevalent in the lot next door when the old building was still there. There was like 12 feet of bamboo in every direction. I mean, talking tall, not wide. So it was a horrible battle because this stuff is unkillable. And right now, what they did when they built is they just pushed everything up to the back, an area that they didn't care about, and built whatever they built down in the bottom close to the main street. And so all the stuff that they pushed up there just continued growing and grows to this day. And it has been a struggle last year just to keep the weeds out of our yard because we fought them for 10 years. We know what it's like, and it really has to be handled professionally. Someone has to go in there, take it out, and then keep it out for the duration of however long this process takes. So this is not just a thing, you chop it down and it's gone, because that just doesn't work with this specific type of very invasive weed. So that's just, I think there should be some kind of requirement that they have to take care of the empty lot in the period before they start construction. When they construct and they go down deep enough, they can probably dig out the roots. But that's just the situation right now. And it's not just us, it's, all the neighbors around us are struggling with the same thing.
What you're saying, not in this phase, but when you come after they do, they call an A&R, they'll slice off the lot, and they wanna come back and build a house.
Yeah.
Subdivision with it. That's the time we will deal with all of that. Because they're gonna have to build a road, they're gonna have to do all that. So that would be the time that it all gets taken care of.
One would hope, but I'm just saying, this might take, I don't know, 6 months, a year, how long, whatever time it takes to get the project to that state. And
Notice-
in that time, we've got another season of weeds.
Well,
It sounds silly when you say a season of weeds, but this stuff, you cannot imagine how invasive this stuff is. And this grows I'd say about 6 inches a day. So you get some of that into your yard, it grows 6 inches a day. In a month, it's taller than you.
So I can just tell you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
And I've had a lot of experience with it because this is not the only site that
Sure.
we've dealt with. So if you want to place a condition, and if Chris thinks it's appropriate, so first thing in the spring, when it starts to come up, you want to cut it. And every time it comes up a little bit, you wanna cut it, because it's a plant. A plant needs leaves for photosynthesis to grow. And if you keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, now it won't happen this year, you'll get a lot of it. But if you keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, after a while, it does give up.
Yeah.
And it will die. But I mean, it's not, so if you wanna make that a condition, that he has to go in there
We can
and
make that as a
start cutting
condition. The question
What
is,
about the neighboring sites, though? We can't,
Well, I can't
That's- they
speak to
can't go
that,
for
and
the
I'm sure,
neighbors.
I'm sorry that actually.
Now, John,
happened, but-
why can't you cut it in this, now?
You can cut it now, but I don't think it's sprouted up yet, right?
No,
It-
right, it's.
Right now, you're not gonna
Oh.
see it.
You wanna wait till it starts to come up and
Yeah,
then
as
cut it?
soon as it starts to come up, you
It
cut
lives
it.
underground in like rhizomes,
Oh, okay.
gigantic root structures.
We can condition that, cause he's gonna want it done for his stuff, because,
it'll come back.
Because he's gotta come back for the subdivision.
well, he's gonna have to do it eventually, cause nobody's gonna buy a house or a house lot with all that on it either. Okay, we
In
can,
Eng-
we
in
can put that to
England.
condition.
Yeah, it's so bad in England,
Yep.
you can't sell a house, or at least you could sell a house with it, which had it on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So, and then, like I said, the other thing is, once it does come up, you have to cut it, and then you get the Roundup and you swab it inside, and that'll kill it. But it's, as they know now, it's a tough process. But I had it on my yard and it's gone now, because we just kept mowing it, and that's what Mass Highway does. When Mass Highway sees it, they send the guy out with the lawnmower like every few days. And in the spring, because, like I said, not to be the dead
Okay.
horse, but if it doesn't get any leaves, it'll go away,
Okay.
it'll
All
die.
right, fine. Any other questions, comments, sir, if you come up?
Hi, Steve Lynch, 80 William Street. I'm actually the owner of the property back here.
Okay.
In the back, I know I'm in front of the board right now, we're discussing this area here, but my concerns are, like gentlemen are talking about the plants that have taken over. My yard has been taken over. I've been here for 25 years. It's been an eyesore. I got tops going all over the hill back there. Mr. Marini, when he came in to get the approval to build this, clear cut this whole property. We never had this before, it was clear cut. So my concern is, sure, they're gonna take care of this, but what about my yard that's already been affected? And it's going, I have to take care of it. So it's certainly a hassle. I've been dealing with this property since Marini did his clear cut. So we knew, a lot of the neighbors are new now, I'm not new. We knew this was gonna come upon us. Here it is upon us. So I'm concerned what's gonna happen after this and the house goes in. So that's one of my concerns. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Alpin, so it sounds like John has invaded the area, and you wanna start cutting it. What do you think for the neighbors? What do you wanna do? I mean, if we don't get you now, we'll get you on the subdivision, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we'd like to help as soon as we can. I know that John, who's now been using somebody else to do his development work, he wants to help out with the neighbors as soon as possible. If anybody wants to take my card now, and they're worried about invasive things on their property that are happening, we want to help them out. That's always been our intention, and we understand that, and to be honest with you, this is kind of the big picture of this whole thing, is that, ultimately, if nothing happens to this property, it's not gonna get better. And the idea is that we do something with this property to make sure that it gets cleaned up and something happens with it. Otherwise, it's just gonna remain, making a mess. But again, if there's neighbors that are concerned about their properties, my client is more than happy to help them out,
Help the
to
neighbors,
make this
okay.
right.
What is the time frame for the subdivision?
It's gotta be relatively pretty quick.
Yeah, it's all drawn up, so we're just waiting to go through this process.
Okay, so now we're here February 3rd. For the stuff we talked about, it'll be at least not the next meeting, one after March, so I would expect the time that's filed would be, what, 1st of April here, so that I would hope that Ms. Marini and the SARS and the lawnmowers and everything else are out there helping the neighbors, because if not, it's gonna be not a nice night.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can I just state one more thing, that,
Come to the microphone.
You wanna come up?
Before, before we close, one of the conditions that, they had before they got their occupancy was to plant, I think it was 40 or something trees back in this area, which was planted. Another concern of mine would be what would happen when the house goes in there, if they would get rid of them trees, because they could, it's their property, but under the condition for him to get his occupancy permit, he had to try to bring this land back to its original condition, which never took place. 40 trees planted back here, along this line here, my line, and this side here. All this was wiped out, so another concern of mine would be these trees that are there, that he had to plant under the condition. If a house goes in here, they could chop them trees down,
Yep.
and now we lost our buffer zone from residential to residential, or whatever it may have been.
Okay,
So that's one of my,
what's the plans, John, since it's pretty much drawn up? What's the plan? You got-
Well, I mean, if that's a concern, we can certainly put some sort of an easement over there that
Okay.
runs to the town, and, you know, we've done it with just
Well, not necessarily,
a
you need, but,
drainage easement, and you can't cut any trees in this
Okay.
drainage easement. And-
yeah, cause that was put as a site, now there's a continuation on, so you might as well leave it, okay. We can do that when they come in with the subdivision and say the line, no touch.
yeah, it's just, like I said, I know what's in front of the board right now is kind of a different thing. but
Yep.
I'm confused, and I'm sure like the other neighbors are of exactly
Okay.
what's in front of us.
All right.
I'm looking out for the long term.
And
Yeah.
John, can you submit the landscaping plan that was a part of this decision? Do you have that? So we can look at what,
Yeah.
what you all agreed to, and then you can talk to us about what was done?
Yeah, we need the original back, so we can check it off,
Okay.
okay? Anyone else from the public have any questions, comments at this juncture? Okay. Kate, when do we run out?
We need an extension to run out, the 12th.
Okay, we have an extension through the end of March, so we'll get you in the March. Okay, I'll make a motion to allow applicant extension up through March 31st, 2022.
Second.
A second, any further discussions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
What? Yes, for both site plan and special permit, how that works. And
Right.
we would, you're not gonna make the next one, and you're gonna have everything together for the first week of March?
For the subdivision?
No, for this.
Oh, for this, yeah,
And you're gonna bring back an A&R?
yeah, we're doing A&R.
And we'll see, and it's up to you.
We'll figure that out.
You procrastinated about getting us stuff that we send to town council, that's, could push you off,
Yeah, no, I'll get it, yep, all set,
guarantee?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the letter on the condominium is already written, so I do have a legal memorandum on that.
Okay.
so that's all set.
Okay, we just wanna make sure, and like this reaction to the site, we'll get it all said and done and make sure it's proper. What's the date in March, Kate?
March 3rd, 7:15 and 7:16.
Okay, we'll continue this hearing for both of them on March 3rd at 7:15 and 7:16. Okay?
Great,
All
thank you.
right, thank you. John, you wore me out tonight. You did more talking about doing nothing.
I'm good at that.
Would it take about a minute to draw that line on there?
A long time.
Okay. Okay, this is from you? Why?
It's just
Not right? So if we take one out of, we're gonna take them all?
There's nobody else here, so it's other than us coming, and it's gonna be a long.
All right, we have a request, all right, Ms. Delaney, we have before, Dan, you can start, where's Dan? You can start setting up, because you guys are up next, Garden Path. But in the meantime, we have a bond release discussion on 54 Peach. Who's here to do that?
Good evening. Just in case you missed it in today's issue, that's my granddaughter. Does that help?
I don't get the mail
I want to explain why the last requirement, the finish capping of the street in front of the driveway, that we didn't do. We moved into the house in December of 2019, and we put the binder down that November. We're into 2020, and we had a massive amount of equipment still on the site for landscaping. There were excavators and everything, and so we weren't gonna put down the finished part of the driveway, which was also required for the first 220 feet of the driveway. The total driveway is 330 feet. Also at that time, my neighbor, Phil Wild, passed away. I'm sure some of you knew him. And my son, who's developing that property now, he bought the property from Mr. Wild's daughters. And one of the thoughts he had was when he submitted the plan, he thought he could possibly use a portion of our driveway for entryway into that World Estates project, whatever it is, off of Peach Street. I told him I doubted it very much, but he asked us to wait, so we waited. And that didn't fly for his project, so now we're into this year, 2021, and we scheduled the driveway to be finished in the spring. And we've got quotes for it and everything, but then I was told that there's gonna be a water main put in entire length of the street, so the whole street was gonna be dug up. And I just saw no sense in finishing that part of it, because it's just gonna get ripped up eventually. And that's the reason why that last requirement we didn't do. We just finished the lamp post and the sign. And the lamp post we held up too also because we didn't know whether the driveway was gonna be 26 feet wide or 14 feet wide if he came in with this project. And that's why I didn't see any sense of doing it. That's why we didn't do it. And that's the last thing to get, I guess, to release the bond. We've been paying the bond for 3 years now, I think.
Okay. So, what you've said is Peach Street was milled? No?
No, it wasn't milled, it just, the patches were put in where they dug up part of the street.
All right, so, well, part of the decision and part of it was recorded that you had to do this work.
Yeah,
All right, it's in the decision. We enforce the decision. We just can't say no.
all right, well, I should have obviously come before the board. I should have come before you people when I found out that this entire street was gonna be dug up, and that was the reason why I didn't have the street finished.
Understood. But, like I said, right now, you got approval based upon these conditions, and this was one of the conditions. And that's the only condition to get the bond released and be done with it, is to do this work.
So, it telling me that I have to dig up the street and replace that piece? Is there any middle ground here?
Well, yeah, you can talk to the DPW and work it out and come back to us to say what that's worth to them.
All right, if that's what I have to do.
Yeah, what's the value? Because, you know, we're not here to just say, you don't have to do this, and you just don't have to pay for it. I mean, you agreed to it, didn't get done, however they want to do it. The question I still have is, I don't know, have they even awarded that contract?
No, it's still under design, it's not awarded, but I mean, they carried a value on the bond of $750, I think, for that work.
Yeah, but that's what, that
But
doesn't
of course,
include milling,
you
though.
can't just go out and do that on a separate mobilization. I don't know that any paper would come out and do it for that kind of money, but if we could, I'd like to settle this issue just so it's not out there and say, if it's a matter of us taking the DPW taking a check for this thing for the work and then applying that to paving when Peach Street comes, I think we could do that, and we probably will end up in a similar situation for the subdivision next door.
I would say that if you get a quote, bring it to us to see what somebody wants to do it for, right? Because we don't have to do it under Davis-Bacon here, naturally, because he wouldn't have done it under that, right?
Right.
So, you get a quote from somebody, and that seems reasonable, and DPW says that's reasonable, and everything else, whatever the...
I'll go back to the people that did the driveway.
Okay, well, if you get it from them, and just, and give it to Carl, and and
All right.
what the quote is, and see what he says, and then you guys come back. It could be next time, could be
All
2
right,
weeks
so
ago.
I'll get back to you, Carl.
Okay,
I'll get on it right away,
all right.
all right?
I agree that it's stupid to do it and then have it ripped up, but the same token, it's in your decision. There's another way, but you don't wanna do it. You'd have to go reopen the decision, notify the people on the street, and it costs you 10 times more than what it's worth.
All right,
So you
Thanks.
get that, we're not here to kill anybody, but we just gotta make the town whole,
all right.
okay?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, all right, we are now 14, Garden Path. With the hour being after 7:30, we have a continued public hearing for Garden Path.
I'd like to announce school is canceled tomorrow.
Why?
I don't know, that was
Oh,
my,
it's a Friday, that's why. We haven't had a Friday off in
Maybe because they
2
iced it.
weeks.
so anyone watching.
They're expecting ice and.
Really, in the winter, I would've never guessed that. Okay, Mr. Mackey, you were here representing
I
the
am.
group. I am looking through just before we start here to see what's in before we get there.
Sure.
You have a land disturbance permit. And we have a copy of that. I have Carl's. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, I'll read these while we're here. Okay? First one, and then I'll let Carl do his. From the sewer and water, the board's original comments are still valid. The superintendent is investigating the possibility of looping the water at the end of the street. I don't know where that's going to go, but they're investigating, so. Board of Health, at its meeting, voted unanimously that they remain supportive of subdivision. However, the plan only has a 5-foot sidewalk on one side. The board would prefer to see the sidewalk brought down the other side of the street. And they wanna put streetlights, okay? I can't figure whether they want 2 sidewalks on the other side.
There's no houses on the other side except the 2 existing houses.
I know, but our rules are only one side, and that's what we've done.
No, the rules are,
No, remember.
2 sides, but we'll, yeah.
they
have to
brought
ask
that
you
up,
for a
so we
waiver.
requested an
But we
additional
don't need
waiver on
that-
that.
I guess,
The important part is they're still supportive.
yeah, well, I mean,
It's a yes.
why don't we speak about the sidewalks?
Yep.
It's my own little thing. We're putting sidewalks on both sides of the streets. Most of the streets don't get plowed anyway. Only the main ones to the schools. So what's the sense in the winter you don't get them plowed? Why we have 2? Because then we'll have to maintain 2, and so on and so forth. So that's why with the sidewalks.
Let's update our subdivision rules and regulations, shall we?
We can do that.
Yeah, and I think in this case, there's no houses on the other side, so there's really no.
But you shouldn't have sidewalks on
reason.
both sides.
I think especially when it's like a cul-de-sac kind of
Yeah.
situation, like there should be an exception.
But they have it down on the front page as a waiver.
And streetlights,
They have streetlights.
yeah, you do, right?
Three.
I don't know what they talk.
3, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I knew you had to have
Yeah, there are
streetlights,
streetlights.
unless they weren't marked yet with,
Yeah.
okay. And from Deputy Chief Paul Barry on, when he sent it, the 19th, we got this, but he says our comments remain consistent with November 3rd. In addition, we request the application confirm the turning radius throughout entering and exiting the site utilizing the Walpole Fire Department's turning radius documentation. We defer the engineering for comments regarding the grade of the roadway. Whenever possible, we prefer water mains to be looped. We support the hydrant locations, I assume that means they approve. Oh, very good, Paul. Minimum binder gotta be in before they give, final occupancy permits. I believe that is a rule anyway by the building department. All water mains and fire hydrants should be in service prior to the residential construction being issued. That's a new one, but. And tree plantings must be considered to prevent growth over the road to impede fire apparatus. So those are the ones we have, and we have, and I'll let Kyle read his.
And we submitted the turning fire truck turning plan to you, and I emailed it directly to Paul the day I submitted it to you.
Okay.
Right here.
When was that, Dan?
2 weeks ago.
Okay, his was, what was the date?
January 19th.
No, I think that's his date.
This says January 20th on the plan.
When does he type it on his letter? He doesn't though, right? Oh, there it is, January 18th, yep. Okay,
He's got the letter from Bristol.
all right. So, Kyle?
Mr. Chair, we provided a memo dated February 1st, 2022 to the board. Only 5 comments on it. One was that a deed booking page be added for the Mon property, which was added to the application. Condition about providing benchmarks, we requested that the site benchmarks be moved out of the way of construction, so they'll be maintained through construction. There's a label that needs to be readjusted, because we asked for some changes in the sewer connection out on Washington Street. That's on sheet C5. And then we had some comments about the crosswalk that's proposed at the end of the rounding on the north side of the street, and it crosses Washington Street. We'd like a certain signage that's appropriate for crosswalks there. And we've also asked that as a condition, that a more detailed, a little bit more detailed plan of that be provided before it's constructed. And then there's another comment on one of the details about modifying a sewer connection. That's also a result of the change that we asked for, and we added a sewer manhole in. So really, there's very few comments here, and things are pretty well wrapped up as far as I'm concerned. We did have a comment about looping the water in there originally, but we took it off. I didn't realize at the time we put this on that that issue was still open with the Sewer and Water Commission.
Okay. Whoever?
Basically, we agree with all the comments. We've submitted everything. And certainly, well, we would ask that, put a special condition on that all of Carl's comments be addressed prior to endorsement. Unless something actually material comes up that we need to address, which certainly we will.
Okay. All the Kyle's or everybody's comments?
Definitely Carl's.
There weren't any other comments that.
Well, okay, the one we don't have, you said you
We've
sent it to
I think
Paul
the road
Barry,
should be paved
so we
before-
need a confirmation of that.
That's fine.
You said we don't see it here, I assume he's hunky-dory with it, but I don't know. So, no reason. So,
I was actually thinking more of the Board of Health rather than the fire department.
they approved it.
They did.
I know Board of Health can do anything they want because they're the most powerful. I assume they could require sidewalks on both sides if they really thought it, but,
They have to declare a health emergency. I'm not kidding.
well, because the people on this side can't walk to that side.
Possibly.
They could find a way, so we know that.
I do.
Okay,
But as far as fire and Carl, absolutely.
okay. I'll start, John?
The fire department had a comment about the name, has the name been agreed upon for the street?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Has the name of the street been agreed upon and run by the fire department? I'm seeing
Yeah,
the note
you
here.
guys, I believe, have a memo you read at the last meeting that was approved by
That's correct.
fire department.
Yeah.
The wall's
they
right.
accept it, yeah.
Have they, the comments concerning the looping, have they made any mentions to where they're looping to and from?
There's nowhere to loop. We don't have any rights to loop anywhere. So what we did after we discussed it with Carl is we revised the plan to extend the water main to the town of Walpole property in the back left-hand corner, so that when the town goes ahead with Bird School, they can loop it through Bird School.
Okay.
Which they won't do, because it's way out of their way.
Working on that loop.
Yeah, and it's way up in the hill, right?
Yeah. The new school will
The new school, from the plans we've seen, will have a looped water main down the driveway, and then it will continue out to East Street, so the school will be looped. There's some issues with pressure zones and things like that there, but there's no plan to go up and pick up a loop out of that road, through that, town-owned lot.
I don't believe I have any other comments.
So,
Okay.
my only comment, and I know you will look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm gonna ask it again. So, when you do a project like this, you don't fence it.
No, normally no. We did add construction fencing in the back area along the school property.
You
to-
did?
Yes, we did. We added that to the plan.
Okay, great, because I asked about that and everyone looked at me like I had three heads, so that's what I was concerned with. I just see kids cutting through there on the way home
It's
and
on the
I,
plan.
perfect, then I'm good.
You gonna look at the plan of the new school, make sure they do it?
No.
No, of course. Okay, Phil?
Don't think I really have any questions, supporting the, I know there's a wall that you're gonna be building along the road. I think at the,
There's an area,
a four
there's an
foot,
area over here.
a 4 foot wall, it
It's
looks
either
like.
gonna be a wall or a slope.
Yeah.
We're gonna work with that adjacent
Just one
abutter.
question, if it's a
It's
wall.
probably gonna be a
would-
slope.
Would there be a, okay, I was gonna ask if there's gonna be a fence on the top if it was a
It's
wall.
probably gonna end up being a slope.
Okay.
I've made provisions either way on the plan.
Yeah, and I applaud doing the, Carl's suggestion on the crosswalk. And if you want to consider going the next step, and not making this a condition, but putting the crosswalks, they have the solar panels, so there's a actual flashing light. That's like the next level of safety, which I really think is a good thing to have. So if you want to consider that, I just want to throw that out there, not a condition. That's all I have.
Okay, Sarah?
Okay, yeah, most of my questions have been addressed. Regarding the fence, or the note about the construction fence, that Katie requested, is there a reason to only do it during school months? I mean, kids still travel a
Well, I
lot.
guess the concern was school kids going from school through the site, and if there's no school,
I know, I mean, I think when I was a kid, we went to the school also in
kids are
the
gonna go- if
summertime.
kids wanna go through the fence, they're going through
Yeah,
the fence.
yeah.
The fence is not gonna stop the kids.
Okay, all right. Okay, and then, so just two small comments. On the wording of the waiver, you say to only require one sidewalk. Could you change that to require like sidewalk on one side of the street?
Yeah, you can word the waiver however you like in the decision, and then I can reflect that on the endorsement, the way it's worded,
Okay.
For the decision. So that's an easy thing to do.
Okay,
And maybe say on the north side, or two, which side.
Yeah.
It would be obvious which side it would be, but.
and then one just small thing on C1, under the construction notes, a typo, developed to developer, number 5, the note.
Construction note 5. All right, I'll fix that for endorsement.
But otherwise, looks good.
Okay, if I read this right, we haven't done the waivers. Correct. First one is from section 4-6C3, not to require stormwater basins to have a sloped bottom. I assume Concom was all set with that, right?
This is the same one we've done, this is our third time in the last 4 months.
Okay. Next one is 4-6C5, not to require stormwater basins to have stone-lined channels from inlet to outlet. 5 dash, I believe it's 8A, to only require one sidewalk. 5 and 9B, to allow the street layout to be as shown as sheet C9, to allow the off-road stormwater inlet in the grass strip. Okay. Unless anybody has a question or comment on either one, I'll make that as motion of all waivers 1 through 4.
Second?
With Sarah's change.
Second? What?
Just the wording of the sidewalk?
You wanted to say to allow a sidewalk only on the
On one side.
north side?
On one side or on the north side or something,
Sure.
just,
Yeah. I provided a draft, so we can just tweak that.
okay.
That's easy.
All right. Do we have Phil second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained on the waivers. Now, before we, anything from any of the members of the public? Okay. Being none. Just waiting to see. Oh, just wanted to see, Phil, what you, you're right, man. I want you to see when we
Crossing
close
things
the
off.
hearing, so you're all set. Okay, make a motion to, because we did, the special conditions, because we want to make sure that the town engineer's comments be incorporated or resolved prior to endorsement.
Second.
And the deputy fire chief will have a sign off prior to endorsement. Okay, I'll make that as a motion. John seconded.
Yes.
Those are the only special conditions we had, so, we have a second, all in favor? Opposed, abstained, okay, with that being said, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
A second, any further discussions, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve, a plan of land called Garden Path Estates Subdivision, Type B, single-family residence, consisting of 6 lots, and with our standard conditions that we have, and we have that special already in here by Kate, and the other one that we just talked about with the deputy fire chief. And also included in this is the waivers that will be incorporated into the decision too, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Give a second, any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's the right one. All right. All right, keep going on the way we're going. Ross Common, bond reduction. All right. Got a request for bond reduction, and we do have that. And I'm looking, Carl's in here? Yep. Okay. Can't find Carl's comments. Is it in here, Kate, or not? The one today, but you have one the
February
other.
2nd?
Yeah, the final amount. You got that?
I have it.
Okay.
You need it?
Yeah, what's the final? Okay, you brought it down to a final amount, and then we had to do the, oh, Katie's got it, yes, thank you. All right. Original bond was at 2.9. Current request brings it down to a balance of $461,424. Per the rules and regs that we incorporate, we have a 25% holding fee until everything's done. So based upon the original $2,900,000, it brings us to a balance of $725,000. Okay,
Good evening.
Hmm?
Good evening.
so that's where we are with this.
Chris Timpson. I represent Whitman Homes. My office is in Norwood, Mass. And may I be heard on this
Yep.
particular thing? Yes, thank you. So we disagree with the way that this bond reduction is being calculated. Under your subdivision regulation, it allows for a 25% bump from the actual cost, not a 25% of the original bond amount. That would violate the general law that applies to bonds, if you were to calculate it that way. The general law says that you have to have the bond amount have a relation to the actual amount of work that needs to be completed, the cost of that, and it allows for an amount to deal with inflation. So as I understand it, Walpole calculates a 20% retainage for that purpose. And in the 461, 424 that's been calculated, that includes the 20%. So, in my opinion, and the opinion of Whitman Homes, the max you should have is this 461, 424, because that already gives you that cushion that the statute allows. Now, we have one other issue, which you may or may not want to deal with tonight, but you got my memo, and Whitman Homes' position is that the barn and paddock is not a required infrastructure. And in fact, I point out that in the bond agreement, it states right in it, except that the barn and paddock shown on lot 30 and the open space parcel shall not be considered part of the improvements, as they would be privately owned by lot 30. So it's the developer's position that that should be backed out. If you back that out, the amount would be, that would be left, would be $339,024. So that's what we would be requesting the bond be reduced to.
Okay, well, it's the way we've done it for the 25%. Nobody's ever kicked. I guess the real thing is you've asked for extensions, just get it done, and now all of a sudden it doesn't go your way, so now you want all your money. If you wanna send something, Chris, go ahead. We'll send it to town council, ask them what their opinion is of this. Okay, but that's the way it's been handled here for a long time, for the 25%.
You guys have been doing 25% of the
Total. Yep.
original total? I
Yeah.
mean, that's not what, I mean, I'll read you the stat.
I know what the stat says, but the planning board also can institute their own policies. Now, had we known this discussion way back, Chris, I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't have given you an extension. I would say, get it done.
Well,
I mean, let's talk, a little horse trading here, right? You guys come to us, you want an extension. You've got the extension. Now you want it all.
well,
Guess what I say that when I've done a contract? You want your money? Get it done.
yeah.
Get it done, you get it all. Can't get any easier than that. If you finished up tomorrow, you come back the next week and Kyle will do it, and if it's all done, it's done. So, I mean, this project's going on for a long time. What I never understood is you guys got a bond through, I don't know, another year, which didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're dealing with the bond reduction here tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a calculation that the town engineer has done, and we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. We've got the amount that he says is the cost to complete plus 20%. Again, I don't see, I mean, if you read your, if you read section 4 of section 312, the last sentence says, "The town engineer and/or planning board reserves the right to include an amount not to exceed 25% of the total construction cost estimate for completion of the work." Not the total cost estimate for the original completion of the work. We're talking about a bond reduction.
Well, that's the way it's.
It hinges on what the cost to complete is. And the cost to complete
plus 20% is 461, 424. So,
Well, if you'd like to,
I don't think, I mean, if you guys have been doing it that way, I would venture to say that I don't think that's correct. I respectfully
okay,
suggest that you're not, you're not doing it the way that the statute says that you're supposed to do
okay,
it.
well, you're telling us how we should be doing it, and then why did you ask for the extent? Why don't you just get it done? That's the bigger question.
Well, I don't think so, because ultimately.
I think so. Here's the problem, Chris, I'm gonna say, I've been doing this too long.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to wait till they get all the houses sold so they get some money in their pocket. We have 2 years, everybody knows that coming in. Get the road done, then you don't deal with us anymore. But we've always given the extensions, which I've always been opposed to, because it just prolongs. Now, my question is, and I'll ask you guys, who's plowing for you guys? You guys or the town? Yeah, see, there we go. This is the problem I've had. It's not your problem, it's with the DPW. If we didn't plow these stinking streets, these guys would have to get it done in the 2 years, because they don't wanna keep paying on and on and on. The town just goes in there, and I keep hearing, well, in case someone gets hurt. I don't care. It's up to them to plow. It's no different than a parking lot, though. Walpole Mall, if you get hurt, it's up to them to plow it, and there's probably as much to plow up there as there in their subdivision. So,
See, but here's the problem. The statute, 81,
I understand the statute, I understand completely, but this is what we've gone
reduced
by.
so that the amount bonded, deposited, or retained continues to reflect the actual expected cost of work remaining to be completed.
I understand, but this is the way we've been doing it.
How can you say we're gonna take the original amount and say, if they had $100,000 worth of work to complete, you're gonna keep it at $750,000?
This has worked very well, because we had a few people once upon a time, they'll get down to the $25,000 mark, and you never see them again. And what was left, we couldn't do squat with.
Right.
This keeps your attention. And it does very well. That's why you're here, right?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is they've got a 2 million plus.
I understand.
We gotta reduce this thing. I mean, they only have
Okay,
400,000.
all right. How long have you been doing this? 4 years? 5 years?
Longer,
Okay,
because I've been on here, yeah, and it was approved before I got on.
and this is the first time asking. They could have asked at any
Before I
time
got
to
on.
reduce it.
Agreed,
We
but
just-
they've
It was
been
approved before I got on.
good citizens,
And you
keeping the amount
got on
up.
one meeting before me.
You guys have been well protected
So,
for a
you know
long
what I
time.
mean?
Okay, so now that let's go on to the other subject. Gigi's Way. Who owns that?
I put that in my memo. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it, but I wanna hear it. Who owns Gigi's Way?
Let's see.
The fee in the road was incorrectly deeded back to us. That's another matter, it's gonna be another legal matter.
But you had a different contract to do Gigi's, correct?
We didn't contract anybody but Jesus.
So-
Your friend, Mr. Viano,
No, I told you a long time ago, he's your friend. You, I ain't gonna battle you, but I'm just, we're at this point.
Yeah.
This goes back to, I know PJ did it. So, how did that all,
So, while the bond and responsibility for the roadway
Yeah.
lies with Whitman, they have a behind that agreement with Viano or a Viano entity under which he's doing that work.
Okay.
So essentially, he's like a you can consider him a subcontractor.
I don't think I'd want my bond under somebody I can't control, so. Now, the other thing is, the way I read your memo, Chris, is you guys got 2 different open space plans. Is that correct? One for the 28 houses and one for Gigi? Is that what you
I
wrote
don't
in
know
there?
what you mean by 2 different open space plans.
they're all
Yeah,
under
it's all-
the same conservation restriction.
But are they all under one?
They're all owned by, yeah,
6 separate open space parcels.
But they're all owned by the total,
They're all owned by Rock Common Homeowners Association.
I didn't, see, when I read your memo, Chris, it didn't understand that. It looked like Gigi's Way was under another one.
The owner of Lot 30 on Gigi's Way, sort of where the optional barn and paddock can go on that open space parcel 1, they have more say.
Okay.
in
Right.
open space parcel one.
I do say, in addition, the trust homeowners association that owns all 6 open space areas is ultimate,
So
so
this is the one that threw me.
that's on the, number 4, the last page.
Yeah, I'm looking at it says a maintenance agreement between the trust HOA and SR2 and its successors regarding open space areas. I was reading that on lot 30, that there's something with Liano still controls that.
So,
So you,
not the open space itself, but lot 30,
but lot 30 doesn't exist, that's just an open space of land, correct?
No,
I
there
don't
is
think
an
so.
actual lot.
It's a lot.
Okay, then the other lot then, there's another 29, there's,
29 lots on the Emerald and Kilronan side. There's one lot off of Gigi's Way, which is lot 30.
and what's a paddock, what's that number?
That's open space parcel number 1.
But isn't that labeled as a lot?
No, it's
No.
not.
Well, when I
That's
went to the
in open.
assessors, it is, that's what started all this.
Yeah, it's not. It's an
Okay.
open.
That's how I'm, like,
Yeah,
that's another
that's
lot?
open space area 1, for sure.
Okay, but you go up and you punch it up and you don't see anything on there. It just shows a lot. On the assessors, it's assessed like it's a lot. It shouldn't pop up like that. It should, the open space should have come all together, it
I
did.
actually don't think it is assessed as a lot because the taxes are minimal, just like it's an open space. It's not, it's certainly not.
Okay, I know what it is, I'm sorry. When I went to, you have 7 GG Way and 8 GG Way. That's the problem.
Right.
And it pops up, I know you sold one to some landscape guy, whoever that is, or what Viano did.
Yeah.
But the other one pops up like, where's 8 GG? Well, I might be getting them backwards like this, but that's
Yeah.
what it's like. We have another lot,
Yeah, that's the open space part.
see? I should just, and Michael, we trust.
So can I ask a question that I probably shouldn't ask, because we might be
Go
here all
ahead.
night?
We're an open, but
Do you plan
save
on?
the best for last.
Is there
Come on.
going to be a barn and paddock?
That's hard to say.
And what's taking so long?
There's, as far as we're concerned, we have nothing to do with it. We don't own lot 30. Lot 30, whoever owns lot 30 has the right to put a barn and paddock on
Lot-
open space parcel.
Lot 30 is open space, right?
No, lot
30
30
is
is a
a lot.
buildable lot off
Well,
of
then
Gigi's Way.
I'm gonna have to reread the decision. The way it was a decision, we had that battle way back about how much it's worth. All right, so we're not gonna get anywhere here, are we, anymore?
Well,
Slow
we're
down.
happy to answer whatever question, but in
Well,
terms of.
I'm not gonna make a legal decision, and I don't know if anybody else wants to. So we can reduce it to what we say. You can send us what reasons outline, and we can send it to town council. And also the decision, because you say in here, you kind of word it a little different than it says in our decision, because I want to get, if they agree the open space, that's fine. We get that off the table. And about the paddock, in my opinion, the decision actually put in by the conservation as part of, instead of putting a seat, we overlooked the water. It was kind of like that feature.
Yeah.
We get that taken care of, but that isn't necessarily gonna affect the other one with the rest of the bond, okay? So if you can
So-
just summarize that for us, we'll get it off to them and see where we end up.
So you guys are saying you're gonna reduce it to this 7,
25,
and can we agree that we're not gonna be charged as a second? I know you have a 3 reduction rule. I don't wanna have that be reduction number 2 because we disagree with your opinion.
well, first off, you get 3 free.
That's what I'm saying. I don't wanna use my second one for something that,
I assume you did very well up there, and I'm glad you did. We're talking not 3 million, we're talking $300, but you still got
Yeah.
2 more. Hopefully, we're not at that point. If we find out
He's
that
saying that
what
only
we did in error, that isn't your reduction, that's ours.
Yeah, the only issue I think that's going to be outstanding is this barn and paddock, which is part of the bond, which
Well,
we
that's what,
don't, because we have no control over that. It's
We will-
optional as far as the
we will-
decision is written,
okay, no, I understand, but
so.
we may have that. Council may say right after that, boom, you're wrong, give them back the money. Except paddock may take a little longer, okay? And we'll just double check on the
okay.
homeowners.
So the net is, you guys are gonna reduce it to 725. I'm gonna get something to town council, copy to you, or do you want me to send it to you,
Send it to us, they'll send it to Kate, and
Yeah.
she'll send it, copy all of us, and we'll send it off there so that we can get that taken care of. And then we can probably send a decision, everything, we're talking about the paddock is another thing, I mean, you're only talking 100 and something thousand anyway.
Well, they wanted a barn, it says barn and paddock.
Yeah, but the amount of.
The amount's nothing, remember
it's
we talked about
Well,
the
it's
barn?
100 and something thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause you were gonna build a cheap barn back when you said it.
Well, if
You agreed to build a cheap barn.
Actually, it was not on Maggie's first bond.
Yeah, because Maggie,
Someone told her to put a barn and paddock, add that to the bond.
that was added by the, that was done by the conservation as part of the improvements. And we have one, so it was like I said before, we have one open space where they put a little seat for some reason. But guess what? You know why it was put there? Guy who bought it from. Cause you've been
Yeah.
trying to market this as a gentleman farmer's horse farm.
I'm
Yeah, no.
hearing that the landscape firm who bought it is interested in doing something like that. We have-
He hasn't moved on anything, right?
No.
All
Okay,
right,
now, before we, what are you going to do about Mr. Hayes finishing? Is he done, or?
I don't know, I'm probably going to have to get into that loop.
Because that's gonna be one that's gonna kick you in the butt somewhere down there.
And then-
PJ's fine, but it's,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go after Viano after the fact. We have a written agreement with them.
from what he told me, he said he's pretty much done, but he's a little behind.
Oh, somebody owes him money?
No, someone owes PJ.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is some. I didn't say how much, but you know yourself, nobody's gonna move until
Right.
other things are squared, so just forewarning you, well, I don't have to.
No.
You've been through this for the last 5 or 6 years, every landmine you hit. Okay. So,
okay.
thanks
so-
for coming, Chris. I know, I don't
It's so
mean,
good to be
anybody
here.
in the board, I don't know if everybody understands it, but, there's a paddock, his decision goes way back, and we can look at that. We may be doing it wrong at 25%, who knows? We can flush that out. I didn't mean to speak for everybody, but I'll open up for comments from anybody.
Well, I think getting legal counsel is probably a good solution to that.
Yeah.
Are you guys,
Yeah, so we're agreeing to reduce it to 725 tonight?
All right, I'll make a motion to reduce it to 725.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
and you folks will accept my request and legal memo
Yeah.
to reduce it as
Mhm.
discussed? Okay, thank you.
And could you say in your lead, so it's all under one wrap, what's going on with GG's and what, how you, so we have it all under one cover, everything, boom, 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 so don't lose anything. Is that, you-
Will do. I
okay?
am the police.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
Good
Thank you,
night.
folks.
Okay, night. Oh, Lord. Yes. Hopefully that's the last one we ever have to deal with. The former developer. All right, sorry, Phil. Phil, New World? Hmm?
You need the extension of time
Okay,
first on that.
one of the, let's do first things first on that.
Extension
Sure.
bill?
What?
The extension.
Yes, let's do the extension first.
Okay,
And I know, because I submitted this last month, and we didn't have an extra meeting, we couldn't talk about it, which is good and proper. I would suggest, even though I've gone to the end of this month, that we go to the end of March, because now I clearly didn't work with the bank pending, as I had no extension. Which is nobody's fault, it's just the way the calendar hit. I'm happy to do it to the end of this month and then come back again as well, but I'm just trying to be realistic and not waste your time.
okay.
That's up to you.
So what we have in front of us is, you didn't make the 60 days, but you would've made the 60 days the night you were here, except it couldn't be on the agenda, because it would have violated the open meeting law. So I'll make a motion to allow an endorsement beyond the 60 days?
Yes.
So I
Up
was-
through and including, I would.
No, I wanna do it that, then I'll do the final one. I wanna give you this one, and then give you number 2.
Got
So
it.
up,
Second.
we have a second?
Jack, can you just back up, like, explain that?
What happened was, you got 60 days to seek endorsement.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, they forgot, or they didn't get to it. When they
Okay.
discovered it, it was at last meeting, but we
I
couldn't
see.
put it on the agenda. He
Okay,
came
okay.
in that Thursday or Wednesday. So it's like, I didn't wanna do something
Yep.
illegal, so I said, just ask us for the extension. So that's what I'm saying. We're gonna allow the applicant to go beyond the 60 days for endorsement. Do I have a, Katie, second? All in favor? Aye. And you are seeking an extension to seek endorsement till when?
Let's see, what is March 31?
Okay. March 31. So I'll make a motion to allow an extension to seek endorsement up through March 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
What I've been told in years past by other attorneys for the town is not a big deal.
It's not, really.
It's not, but you just wanna keep, and she says, if for not to approve, it would be kinda, to let it go would be kinda
Right,
dumb.
if you didn't, for whatever reason, we would hand you the same exact plan set
Yeah,
and
and
ask you to approve it again.
And the other thing is, anytime you haven't sought endorsement, it's like, what's going on? Why don't you do your, you went all that far to do it, okay?
Right.
And you have, you wanna know, now, the next part here is you're proposing a minor modification.
I am,
We have to rule whether it's major or minor,
correct.
and what might we be doing?
So basically what has happened, and one of the reasons I can't provide you a Form F, which is required for endorsement, is the Wohlers have a mortgage. And we're working with their bank to get a partial release. I think that's the way we're gonna go, so the bank's just not involved in the Form F and we don't have to deal with them anymore. But they won't sign the Form F as it stands. So in our horse trading with the bank, if you look at the circle that says parcel 1B,
Yep.
that is 179 square feet, which anywhere else would be absolutely irrelevant, but this actually makes the Wohlers property conform as far as frontage. And so we agreed to do that, but then to keep the proper lot size of lot 5, you can see the other circle, had to bump that corner out so that it's remained a conforming lot with zoning. It doesn't change drainage, it doesn't change lot count, it does nothing to do with the road. It purely just makes the Wohlers lot conform. And so we're respectfully asking that you consider that a minor, and for that matter, exclude parcel 1B from the Form F so that we can convey that to the Wohlers and they can just be free and clear of the subdivision as we go forward.
Why do you need them exempt?
Excuse me?
Why do you need 1B exempt?
Because if it's under the Form F, we can't convey it out until it's
okay.
bonded and respectfully, this,
So you are conveying that to the Wohlers?
correct,
Okay, so they're not part of this. All right.
yes. And that way, they're just free, clear, and out of it.
Now, the question I have is, does that mean that were they on?
Yes.
They were on the subdivision, so
They were.
they're all part of this. So it's not a new A&R lot?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So what happened? Their frontage wasn't enough, is that, or?
They don't have a conforming lot.
Oh, okay.
And so they don't actually have to do anything by zoning because it's prior existing non-conforming. But when you're talking to a bank and asking them to release something, they want to make sure that they get their pound of flesh, to be blunt about it. And so we agreed. And honestly, it's a good neighbor thing to do. It doesn't hurt anybody and it gives them
We
a
allowed you to get
conforming
next
lot.
to lot.
Or a more conforming lot. I can't tell you if anything else is problems, but at least we solved one.
Well, based upon what I actually read before for Heidi Way there, it does say that you can change it, but you can't make it less. And you don't have any idea what I'm talking about?
Not really, no.
No, I mean, Heidi Way, Kyle Swanson, the guy's trying to put an A&R down there, but Heidi Way is not built.
Right.
But what I did read is that anytime you have a subdivision plan that's not recorded or something, you can make modifications, but so long as you keep the frontage, you keep them buildable lots.
Correct.
Okay, and that's, I just wanna, this is what you're doing here too.
Exactly.
Keeping it buildable.
Yeah, you're not affecting the road or anything.
Right. Mr. Chair, I've got a couple of very small technical questions.
Okay.
This is to either Attorney Mackey or Mr. Merrickin. Why is it parcel 1B and not 5B? It's a parcel off
Yeah, that
of
was-
lot 5, so
Uh,
there is no rule book for this, but it's just a question I have to ask because I am who I am.
There was some documentation between the attorneys, and they used that designation, so to keep it clean with the bank, we just used the same designation.
Okay, that's fair enough. Second question, so to compensate and keep Lot 5 conforming for area, there's a jog on the easterly property line. Any reason why you couldn't swing that whole property line over and give it a little more, instead of having that jog there? Is it the drainage that
Yeah, the
would?
stormwater basin's there,
Yep.
so I just took a little corner off in an area where there's nothing associated with the basin there.
Fair enough.
I'll make a motion that it's a minor change, Jack.
Okay. You all set, Carl?
Yep.
Everybody else all set?
Mhm.
Yep.
All right. I'll second it. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained,
Who
0.
seconded
Jack.
Joe?
Jack.
Oh,
Phil,
Jack.
Phil made the motion, and Jack seconded, right?
Yep.
Mixing
Now
things
need to
up.
approve it.
Oh, we're doing it on a different night.
Approval too?
Oh, we usually do it two different, make a motion to approve the minor modification.
Second.
Second, any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you very
Any
much.
more votes?
That's it. I only
Sure.
want two.
Take a couple, just in case you need them somewhere down the road.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, we jump past, all right. You wanna roll on? So, master plan update? Any master plan?
Kate had the, letter that everyone was gonna sign.
I only have one letter, is that all right? Jack didn't,
Yeah, I think we can, I can color copy it, so it'll look, yeah, it'll be fine.
What I do now, I can just give you a quick update on a couple other things.
Yep.
So, the discovery and envisioning part of the master plan process, which is started with the forum and then went to the survey and the mural boards. Then we went to the kitchen conversations, which basically was doing the forum meeting in a package, so anybody could then conduct one either live or with Zoom. And those are going to this Friday. So this will be the last time we'll be getting input on the, what people think about the town, what they'd like to see, what their vision is. And from here, we now go into reviewing the inventory findings and the visions and the goals. So this is where their planning will come back to us with everything that they learned, and they want us to verify that, make sure that it's accurate. They're also gonna be summarizing what people's vision was, what do people wanna see or not see. So in order to do that process, the committee formed 6 work groups based on the 10 elements, so that we have people who are specifically charged to review each of the portions of the plan. So everybody can review everything, but we wanna make sure that there's somebody responsible for doing each section. And we assigned those work groups based on people's interests as best we could. So that's what's gonna happen next. So we're expecting to get the report back from Barrett Planning in the middle of February, and then the next big meeting with the public will be March 16th, where we have a forum and Barrett will give their summary of what their findings are. And at that point, we would have done our review and corrected anything that wasn't correct, wasn't right. So that's where we are, and then, the September is when we'll be starting to get the feedback on the action, the recommended plans, recommended actions that the town can take and starting to put together the plan, and that will be done with the board, the committee will be participating in all that. So things are going well, and we've gotten a lot of feedback. There's been a fair amount of interest on the kitchen conversations. I don't know if you want to add anything, Katie?
No, I think you covered it.
And we do appreciate the logo, so happy to.
Okay. Pull my way. Next one is web stuff.
Yeah, I'll make this very short. I just want to give you an update. I am continuing to look at how we can put all of our materials for projects up on the web, make it available to the public, also to ourselves. So I have a meeting on Tuesday with Jim Crowley and Pat Duchesne to go through how this is going to be implemented. And the goal of that is to come back to you, maybe the next meeting with a demo to show what it would look like. So that's the goal. I really want to get this out there. So, and I want to thank Pat and Jim for their help on this. So what it would look like would be on our webpage, there'd be a page for each project, and it would show all of the materials and would show also the status. And this would all be integrated into the open view, OpenGov software, so that on the other end of things, town officials would be able to just upload things automatically, and it would get sent to the appropriate people. And as we go more digital, it doesn't mean that we still won't get paper, so that's really two different issues, or orthogonal issues. And that will be a separate process of where we require paper or not. But initially, we just want to have everything like digital, stored and accessible to everyone. So that's the goal there.
Phil, can you say again, which town has an example that's close to what you're looking for, so we can kind of look at it?
Yeah, if you want, go to Westwood.
Westwood, okay.
Yeah, I had a meeting with the town planner, and she was very, very helpful. So I would say that they've done a really good job, and we're really trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the zoning board of appeals is starting to do that now.
Okay.
So if you go look at the zoning board of appeals, you'll see a link to some of their projects.
Mm-hmm.
If you go there, you will see very much what we want it to look like.
Okay.
But Westwood is definitely, has done a good job there. And they're using some of the same software we use, so. And I want to thank the building commissioner, the building inspection department, because they're really taking the lead on this. And, already, I think, I'm sure Kate has, we know that all departments are being urged to use the electronic system to post all of the materials, and to use that as a way to send notices to town officials, because it works on subscription. If people have a certain position, and as a project goes through, and somebody makes a review, or there's a request to, say, the fire department to review something, then all that happens with, through this system. So, and Carl is using it now, right? So we would become users of that as well.
Yeah, just to put the material up there. Just like the zoning board, you still gotta go through the proper, it's up to the applicant to take it from assessors, building, because the zoning board, they didn't even know they were on it, and they get off it. And one of the things they had the other night is an application in front of them that wasn't signed by the building inspector, because this is electronic. Well, it's up to the applicant to go down there and physically get it from him, and also physically get it from the town clerk. So that's why we can't be off it. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter. One of the things, Phil, I know is a problem, is my own personal stuff, is one of my lovely neighbors that I've been battling with was down there doing stuff. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, we didn't know didn't have approval. We didn't know he didn't have approval. What I don't see in here is, say you have, I don't even say it, lot 48 Burns Ave. So everybody should be able to, everything should populate that, however they do it in their own little thing, so that they don't have to go fish. So there should be something, so 48 Burns, and you're looking, and it's like, oh, and Landis is looking at it, so she should see anything from the building department, anything from the zoning, it all should be it, but I don't think that isn't happening. And the excuse is, well, we didn't know. Well, there shouldn't be an excuse, you don't know, but if we're gonna go to this, it has nothing to do with you. It's just something that would be in one area. I always thought it should be on like, not a mainframe, but we used to have it, Kate, with Jack Me. You could go and see that individual, so you could dial in and you'd see, okay, 1429 Main Street. If you had something up there, you could go in there and everybody's stuff was in there.
Isn't that the way that it's proposed?
That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So now, if, the reason for doing the trial is to see how it works with us. I think the biggest problem people may see is you get inundated with so many
Everything,
messages,
yeah.
because so many, anytime anybody updates
Conservation
anything.
and planning board
Yeah.
and water
Yeah,
and
but what should
sewer.
also happen, continued on, is once you get out of here, you should see, it say 1429 Main Street. Okay, here's the date the permit was issued, the date signed
Yeah.
off, this, and I don't think they have that. I don't think there's a folder that you can pick on.
It's filed differently for each board.
Yeah,
And
that's,
we do our cases one way, zoning does it another, but I had 7 different requests today for the same thing from the zoning board. That's just a waste. It's like,
Yeah.
I finally just deleted them. It was like.
But I didn't
So
wanna-
we're-
There's something funny been going on with that lately, because 5 came through on one ZBA case yesterday,
That's
so
right.
something must have got,
I
that
don't know what's
wasn't
going
that way
on. I
before.
don't know.
It's important to note that there's, the viewpoint system's been up, the building permit, and you can see what everybody's doing with that.
Mhm.
Board of
But they
Appeals is
also,
also conducting, their submissions are going through, also through viewpoint. But that's all you see, all right? I mean, if the Board of Appeals has a project up there and somebody, and we'd say we do a review letter, we do upload it, you can see that I've seen it, you can go in there. Now, I don't, that's internally, nobody from the outside is seeing that, all right? So I don't know, unless you get a login and all that, you couldn't log in to Viewpoint to see what's going on with that Board of Appeals project. However, of course, they've been putting their stuff on websites so everyone can see it on their website, so there's almost 2 different issues. Internal review and permitting and what you can see versus access to the records and
but there were
reviews and
3
whatnot to
requests
the
today
outside.
from Concom, and they were looking for comments. They were so big, there was no way I could print them, so what do we do with that? What happens with those when they come in? They were looking for comments on 3 different projects. How
But-
do you get those?
wait a
Do I
minute.
forward them to you?
oh, wait, time out. It came in electronically?
Yes.
Not supposed to do that. The
But
vote was
that's part
done.
of the system.
Yeah, no. The vote was paper by the zoning board.
All I can say though, for us,
This
yeah,
is
we're gonna do
Concom, though.
we're gonna create a,
It was Concom?
It was Concom.
Oh, I thought you said.
Referring to
No,
as
no,
Concom, 'cause we
conservation.
got it too.
we're creating a demo, and there's gonna be some crafting of this to make it work that meets our needs. And to make it available to the public, there is putting on I think probably a front-end page for each project maybe, and talking to Pat about that. And so he has a lot of ideas, but that's what Westwood did. They have the underlying system which is happening internally, and then they create a web page for each project where they then put in the pertinent documents that you want the public to be able to see, and the ones that are important, because again, you don't, for our role, we don't need to say every single email or message that goes between town boards, town
Right, but
officials, because we would be
I don't think there's a way to
inundated.
take me off that.
Or all the stormwater report.
Yeah,
and all that.
but we need to work all that out, and that's why we're gonna do the demo. So the purpose is, we're gonna walk in steps, see how it works, see what we can do to make it better if it's not working, and it doesn't preclude doing everything by paper as well. That's another issue, how much paper we need. Know that Westwood almost does everything entirely digitally right now. They've, because they can even do digital signatures for a lot of things, not everything, but. So, but I just want to let you know that still working on this. I didn't want anyone to think it got dropped.
Yep.
And, I'm hoping to have something for the next meeting.
Okay. And the last thing, hybrid meetings?
Yes. So, we talked about looking into the possibility of doing a hybrid meeting. I think most especially for the public, for members of the public that are interested in commenting or asking questions during a public hearing, that they have an opportunity to do so in a hybrid fashion. So being able to log into a webinar and then ask the question there. So reached out to Walpole Media, and they said, do a webinar. That's definitely the way. We don't want to do a Zoom meeting, security issues there. So do a webinar and then have a member of the board actually do the granting of speaking access to a member of the public. And I think we talked about it before, but I think we should only grant speaking access. We shouldn't even grant people a camera. It's just too problematic, I think. But if a member of the public wants to ask questions or give a comment, then a member of the board, I offered to do it when I had asked Jim Johnson if there was maybe a staff member or something that could do that, because Jack had mentioned that he didn't think a member of the board should be granting the access. He suggested maybe the clerk from the board. So that's Katie.
Well, I've said, and I'll say it 100 times, no, her purpose here
Yeah,
is to
but-
do the meeting notes, that's 100%. This is
No,
go-
not
No.
Katie.
Oh, you know,
No,
but
I'll
even
s-
still, she's a member of the board.
I'm
You
gonna
have to be
speak-
focused.
I'm gonna speak to that. So the night Kate wasn't here and I did the minutes, I felt like I wasn't doing my job. Like I could not concentrate on so no, I'm sorry, I won't do that. Because my job is to be a member of the planning board and to listen to the applicant, make sure I get everything they say, be able to absorb it, ask my questions, and listen to the public and answer their questions. So I don't so much have a problem with the hybrid, but no, I'm not gonna man worrying about, the outside trying to ask questions, because I think that honestly, I'm hoping we're on the back end of this pandemic, and maybe I'm really off base saying that. It's a hope
Yeah.
for everybody's sake. And I think that if we had done this like a year ago, it would have been really critical. I'm hoping we're getting to a point where we're able to meet and people aren't afraid, because it's been such a terrible time for everyone. But that's off subject. To be honest, I don't feel I can do my job as a planning board member and worry about doing that correctly too. And that's not what I ran for, and that's not what I was elected to do, and I'm not willing to take that on.
Yeah, I'll just, I know, Phil, you want to say something, but, so I will offer to do it. And just so everyone understands, so this would only happen during the public hearing when we have public comments. So that would be the only time where we would need a member of the board to push the button and say, resident X would like to speak. And then that's it. So, I don't really see it as dissimilar to the chair saying, sir, would you like to come up and speak? So that takes a few seconds of his time, a little bit of his brain power to do that, and that's the same kind of thing. I or another member could just say, okay, sir or ma'am, go ahead with your question.
And we've had, just look at the master plan meetings where we had so many connectivity issues. It took so much out of our meeting. It took like the first, half hour of people trying to concentrate on, we're not techies. I don't mean that, I wish I were,
But I think
to be
that-
honest, but I really just, I have too many concerns about it interfering with us doing our job.
Yeah, I think Patrick would help do the, having the meeting started, or,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Walpole
that's-
Media said they could
start
set it
up
up,
and
and
start.
that it is,
They helped
more
us,
demanding for
They
them
helped
to
us with
handle
that,
a
too.
hybrid meeting, but the actual, the thing that would fall on the board is granting, speaking rights. And I'll just say, I think this is important, outside of the pandemic. This is something that I think that we should do to give access to the public. We should be a government that's, accessible to the people. There are lots of reasons that people can't come to town hall on a Thursday night and hang out at 10 PM.
maybe
if
for
they-
3 hours or.
Yeah, for however many
Yeah.
hours it takes for the project that they want to ask a question on. So I think it's important,
And I agree,
even outside of.
and I agree with you, Sarah, really, the only time we would have to be giving attention to it would be during the public hearings, when we're taking public comments, which is a very short amount of time.
Mhm.
There are some requirements based on open meeting law. You know, you can't, if someone, which we need to look into just a little bit.
Mhm. Which is
Yep.
what?
Well, if someone can't hear or can't speak, and you started, and they're part of the public hearing, we just need to check, there are some constraints around that, some rules, because they want to make sure that people don't get cut off if they were intending to attend by Zoom. I don't know if it applies when we have a hybrid,
Mm.
as much as it's only for Zoom meetings, so, but just be something to check out, to see. But the management of it is very simple, and you know, like I said, at the time we do we're asking the public for comments who are in the room, then you say, does anybody on Zoom wanna have a comment, and that's the point where you just have to look to see.
Yeah.
And-
I mean,
and
today we had, what, two members of the public?
Yeah.
For our, 3-hour meeting, so,
Phil, are you saying, if you could just clarify, are you saying that if there's an issue, a technical issue, that threatens the public meeting?
You gotta stop.
It was, for a Zoom-only meeting, it did. I don't know if that applies to a hybrid meeting.
Well, there's a
So-
hybrid meeting, there's nothing in the Mass General laws about a hybrid meeting. What we're doing is you wanna do it so people don't have to get off their butt and come down here. That's basically what this
Yeah,
is.
there were
Promoting laziness and.
some people have young children, some people
And
have
some people are
health
elderly, you don't wanna drive it.
concerns,
I have
some people
never-
are elderly.
Since I've been doing this, no one's ever said, geez, why aren't you on TV so I don't gotta come down? I mean, I haven't heard
They're
anybody.
not complaining to you because it's just out of reach, just a government out of reach. That's
It's not
what
a
this
government
is.
out of reach. You wanna take it in someone's living room so that if they were interested in the government, they should get their butt down like everybody else and stand here. The other problem you have with one of these things, if they don't have a camera, you don't know who's talking. They could identify themselves as anybody, but you can't see who it is. That's the other problem.
Okay,
So, why, if they were that interested, they should be coming down.
Well, I think one thing to do would be to look to see what other towns do, and just to get some, maybe do a little research on the whole issue of open meeting law, and if there's communication issues, does that cause a problem or not?
I think that would be great.
I was on the meeting, like at the school committee, and that was an issue. Now, the way.
But remember, the school committee's doing the mask and they're doing remote. That's a whole
Yeah,
different.
no, I
As
just-
of April 1st, this stuff's over.
Yeah.
Everything's 100% in person, no more Zoom, no more
No,
nothing.
but I was just mentioning, I had experience I was actually contributing, I was
Yeah,
one of the
but I
speakers.
understand, but if you read
This is
the,
for public,
if you read the Zoom stuff, it says very clearly, if you have a problem,
everything stops.
everything stops.
Stops,
So
yeah.
you think it's long now, if we have, somebody can't fix our problem, we can't fix ourselves, it could stretch out for quite a while.
But that is where the world's going. The world's going, with, now that people can do remote meetings, there's a lot of places where it really works out very well, and,
If you wanna do it,
some
I do it
people-
work all the time, but this is a public meeting,
Yeah.
and if you're presenting a plan, I wanna see the
Well-
people who are opposing or for me sitting there, so you can see,
But one advantage of everything being digitized, Jack, is people who are at home could also bring up the plans right there on their laptop or on their computer, as well as participating,
and
where.
this wouldn't stop someone who, has the ability and time to come sit here for 4 hours and enjoy our meetings.
If
They
they
can
want-
certainly continue to do so.
Yeah,
no, I'm not in favor of all of this. This is just promoting, stay home in your pajamas and don't do anything, and we gotta do it. We don't have to do this, it's not a law, it's not nothing. You can't say we're not transparent, because guess what? If we're on TV and they don't like something we say, they get in their car and drive down within 5 minutes and be here.
Mhm. Everybody has a car, right?
Everybody has a computer?
That's even more, yeah.
No?
So if you're gonna say the people who don't wanna come down or can't come down are the elderly, most people over the age of 70 don't have computers, so they can't be remote. So this is, I'm not in favor of all.
I would like to hear more about the, public hearing implications before I.
yeah, so we can
Yeah.
find out.
Let's find out what potential for problems there are. If we do have something like that, I'm curious as to, okay, it's gonna mean someone sitting here has a laptop open in front of them to control everything. And I know if I was sitting here and someone else wants to call, I want to be able to look at a screen and see that person talking. And I would think it would be beneficial for the people sitting here to be able to see that person on the screen talking also. So it might be a question of having a couple of screens on a couple of different angles.
Well, I think, I mean, they could, if we chose to give a screen, that they could put,
Put
you
it
know,
up
That-
there.
that's
the speaker on the.
So, in a webinar, you can then put a person's video on. You do it person by person, so you're not,
Yeah, well.
everybody's
it's not
not
so
on, only
much-
people who
I think
speak.
the videos, it's making sure that you
Yeah.
only allow the speaking for one person at a time.
Yeah,
as
no,
you
that's a
mentioned,
valid
but,
thing, that's a,
It's still, you want, like Jack said, you want to be able to see who's talking and that it's someone who's a real person, who's not biased one way or another necessarily, but, and that there can be interaction through the board between someone at home on the computer and someone sitting here, so that they can give each other's views if they're of different opinions. So there are issues that could be arised, but it's not, if it can be worked out, I'm sure there are a lot of people, if they have the chance to do it, would like to do something like that. You're probably correct. As Jack mentioned, it's more of a community statement if you come down here in person. You're showing you have, I think, more of a care or more of a thought for the object in place.
Right, but also studies have shown that the people who can and do come to public meetings are heavily white, heavily older, heavily property owners.
Heavily what? What were the three of them?
That own property, white, and are older. They
White?
skew. Yeah,
What's that got to do with anything?
it's just,
Oh, my God, we're
It's a
going down that road. Oh, here we go.
it's just the facts.
it's a fact,
What,
yeah.
what fact does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Oh, my
It's
God.
about who's
What
not,
do you-
who's not
Okay,
in
we're
the
gonna go
building.
down, I'm a racist against having a Zoom or a
No,
I'm
webinar?
not
Oh,
saying
my
that. I'm
freak,
just
that
saying-
just tops me all.
Perhaps
no-
we
But
nobody's
why,
should,
that had nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Nobody's
But you just
saying-
had to get that in there, Sarah.
I'm
Jesus.
So-
just saying,
It's a
who
fact.
is able to come to public meetings, this is what's been found. So
Yeah.
why not open it up so that more people can participate?
Why was it found that other people of color didn't go to the meetings? What was the reason? Do they have any?
I'm sure there are lots of reasons.
Well, but they didn't, they just said, this is what we got, and it's because we don't do this, the other people can't come. Okay, here we go, we're going down that.
I think
Going down that
all
rabbit
Sarah was
hole.
doing
Oh,
was
my-
reporting on facts, statistics, not really making any judgment on why they're that way.
True.
It's not
it's a
against anyone on this
Yeah.
board or anyone
Anything,
anywhere.
yeah.
I mean, this is.
No, it's just,
Try-
it
just try to
basically
be
was
more-
attacking, because you're white, you can drive down here, and if you're a minority, you can't. That's what you said.
No,
I'm just saying that we should open it up to as
Well,
many
first
people
off, well,
as
then why don't you go
possible.
talk to the State House and say, why not? Because it's not Mass General Law. I'll also say another thing. Somebody sitting on the webinar can sit there and just try to mix this whole thing, persuade a couple of members on the board, then it goes down. If I'm out there presenting a plan, I'm gonna sue your ass off because you're doing something outside of the Mass General Law, open meeting law. This is not in the Mass General
Yeah, we're
open
not-
meeting law.
I don't think anyone's intended to do something.
Well, that's what
not
you're
a-
doing.
Well, we're
Mass open meeting law is, you're gonna be in this room.
going to,
Well, that needs to be reviewed if that's the case.
yeah, we're gonna go take a look at exactly what the law is. But I just wanna say one other thing about webinars allow you to have people pre-register.
Yes,
So
we
you
we
could-
would have to do that.
You could do it, so if someone wants to speak, they first pre-register, so you already know who they are, you're
Yeah,
not just letting people come in haphazardly.
right.
And the, Zoom, actually handles the registration, and you can either do it automatically accepting people, or you have somebody who actually looks at each request and then
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
So there, again, I think it's, in the spirit of this, is just trying to make us more open, more inclusive.
We are open, we're on TV,
Yep.
we publish our agenda, we send out, you can't be any more open than this. Shall we have it in their living room? We'll go to everybody who can't make it down and conduct it there? That's basically what you wanna do.
Which, yeah,
If
I-
they're
I
that
think-
interested, they should get their butt down here. And if they can't, then they should write a letter like a lot of people do. We've had letters over the years, I can't make it, and you read it.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah, we can-
aspect for them to do?
But as you know, like, part of what many of us have talked about is, as let's say a member of the public comes up, has a comment, right? That introduces a question and things like that. So maybe somebody, wants to speak, but they want to respond to something that's said in the meeting. So you writing the letter, is not gonna be as good. I'm just saying it would be great for us to have that option.
Well,
I think we should look at let's look at there's maybe some legal issues that need to be understood. There's some technical issues, logistical things, and to see if that could work or not. I think that's what Sarah's suggesting.
Yeah.
unbelievable. If you want good government, participate in good government. It's not sitting on your couch talking on your computer. Get involved, right? Isn't that what they say? Get involved? Isn't that what you've said on your Facebook? Get involved? Getting involved isn't sitting home on your computer like this. In the meantime, you're watching CNN or something, or you're watching a movie. That
Maybe
ain't getting
that's the
involved.
first step of getting people involved.
No, the first step is they gotta get down here. It's not about being lazy involved. That's lazy involved. I've yet to have anybody ask me in time here, well, I can't make it, could you do something? No, they know, public hearing,
You're
public
very
meetings.
approachable, Jack. I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah, okay. They could do it through the office. Nobody's ever complained about that. Now we're going outside beyond open meeting in the room. That's what the open meeting law is about. That's what the country's been built on since the 1700s. It isn't doing remote stuff. Excuse for people not to get down? Haven't seen it, haven't heard it, no one's complained.
Well, there's a lot of people who can't get down here.
Okay, name one that's ever said anything to you, Phil, that, gee, I would've liked to come, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't get down here. Do you have any?
I'm sure I know of
I
people.
have
Have you
one-
had
I have
anybody
one-
say to you,
Yeah.
gee, I wish this was on webinar so I could've participated?
Well, people don't
I
even
do,
think about that.
120 or 130 West Street. And a butter wanted to come, but due to health reasons, they couldn't.
Okay, did they write a letter? Did they contact you? Is that how you knew?
Yeah,
Okay, who was it?
it wasn't a butter to the project.
But they didn't say who the name was to you.
Yeah, I have the name, but I don't know that they've authorized me to, to talk about it.
Well, you want us to turn this, but you won't say who the abutter. Did the abutter ask you questions? Did you ask questions on behalf of the abutter?
I did, yeah.
Okay, and what were the questions? Do you remember?
Just about the buffer and landscaping and things that are done on the side. But I think these things come up all the time. I'm just saying that if we had this option, more people would be able to participate, more people who have constraints of, young children or older people or travel issues, whatever. It's adding another layer of accessibility to the government, to our
No, but
local
you-
town government.
But you're penalizing the people that have to come in front of us to present to us. That's what you're missing.
Why
How
are they
is that?
penalized?
Because you're gonna be talking to somebody who could be in Hawaii on a vacation because they couldn't make it.
Well, is that,
And?
maybe that's not so bad.
Well, not so bad. These people put a lot of time and effort and money into this, and now we're just gonna have someone remote all over the place they could be throwing darts from 3,000 miles away. No, if they confront the people and ask the questions direct to them, that's all. No, this is beyond,
I think it's one of those things where you do it and then you see how it works and how it brings in more people. And that would be the proof of the pudding, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't anticipate it being like a big
100.
issue.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a couple people a night,
Yeah,
grant them access, and, the rest of the meeting will go on as usual.
no, I'm not in favor at all, because it doesn't need to be. We've gone beyond what's in the open meeting laws requirements and so on and so forth. So, they wanna be part of, if you wanna be government, you wanna be active, then you get here. You can't be active sitting on your couch.
I disagree.
Well, fine. Then how about this, Sarah? If they're so worried, then why don't they contact the office, so the day we have a meeting, we can set up if there's only one. We may have meetings when nobody wants to do it. Isn't that more smart? Rather than having someone sit, I think I'll comment about this and I'll comment about that. What-
Even if someone contacted the office, the answer would be, you're out of luck, we don't have that option.
No, what I'm saying is you wanna do it every night. I'm saying if you have somebody who says, gee, could you do this for me on this particular hearing, on this night, then you set it up, you may only have one request in 5 hearings.
I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. You register, you have
No,
to
you want it
register
every
ahead of
meeting
time.
available. I'm saying, if nobody cares to be on it, then why would we have it all set up, worried about someone getting on when, oh, geez, Joe Blow from North Street wants to be on it. Okay, we know he wants to be on for this hearing at this time.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You have to pre-register. We can check them if you want, to make sure that they have, like, they're a Walpole resident or whatever.
Well, you
And we
can't
know
do that.
going into the meeting, there's going to be potentially up to three people that want to speak. And we know that.
Well,
And
can't
if
be- you
nobody
can't limit it to-
registers, we know.
You can't limit it to a
we
Walpole
don't-
resident.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm just
Well, I
saying,
think
like, we know who's requested, and we've approved them or not approved them. And we know going into the meeting, there are, 2 people.
Even that, though, I think before you even talk anymore and we waste any more time on this, the legalities have to be checked. Because if someone walks into the meeting 2 hours in, we don't not let them in. So is that any different when it's electronic, that
We don't let people in our meetings?
No,
I'm
she's saying, like, I'm saying if we have a
don't
cutoff,
not
you have to
let them in.
pre-register.
Oh, yeah,
People can come in at any time.
yeah.
So there's just so many legalities about this, we can't just assume things, we need this vetted before we even waste any more
Yeah,
time on
And
it.
I think that's what we said we would do. That would be the
Yeah.
next step, would be to,
Okay.
Well,
we're
if
not,
we-
we're
if
not
we-
looking to do anything that isn't, according
There's a
to
lot of legal
open-
questions.
yeah. But it's happening out there. It's not, this is not something unusual. It's, as you heard, even the court, the land court is all by Zoom.
No, he said because the state hasn't opened up the April 1st, they all gotta come out of their cave.
But the land court also knows exactly what the hearing is, who the people involved are, and there aren't other people involved.
That everything's spelled.
It's
Except
not
that
an
lawyer who was a
open-
cat for a while.
It's not an
It's not
open
an open
hearing
hearing.
like ours are.
Gee, I never thought this would be a race issue, but it turned into one, my
Well,
God.
I think that was just.
It's not.
It's
I'm
just
just
a-
You
saying.
said it,
It's
you
just a
said it,
known
you
fact.
can't take it back. You made it, you didn't even have to put it in there. That was irrelevant to everything we were talking
It's
about.
somewhat irrelevant, yes, but it wasn't a racial issue, really.
No,
It's
but
a-
it just,
it's a
it didn't need to be here, because everything today, and I'm gonna go my political, all we hear is race, race, race.
Let's
Didn't
not
need to
go
be there.
political. Let's
Didn't need to
just-
be there. We just had to tuck it in, like I'm gonna bend over to that. No. Didn't need to be there. All you gotta do is say there's some people who are sick, or kids, or whatever. Didn't matter whether red, white, blue, black, green. But, had to be said.
The facts are there.
They're not the facts, Sarah, because you couldn't prove the facts of why these other people couldn't make it. You said, I don't know.
You know what, I will look for some articles discussing it. I'll be happy to send that to the
Good,
board.
send them to me, because I've never heard this before, but once again, it's like, oh, we throw this out and it's taken for gospel. Oh, jeez.
Motion for adjournment?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? I don't care.